Because you've got powerful legs. How'd you get the physique? Was it gym or how'd you get the physique?
I've always been...
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
That's your knowing mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on a Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome, folks, to episode 613 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse. You can catch us on Sundays, 8 o'clock in the UK, 12 Pacific time in the United States. If you want to join in on more of the fun, including the Boxing Nutters Messenger group, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Boxing Asylum, and that's where the real fun begins. We might have a little extra fun in store today. I hear we might have a special guest popping in to join us for some chatter, but as of right now, it's me, it's Justin, it's Dez, and we're going to talk about just how wrong I was in thinking that Stanionis at 9-2 was a heck of a good underdog against Boots Ennis. No, apparently they knew something we didn't, because most of us were thinking, wow, that seems a little wide. No, apparently not, because seventh round, Stanionis is done. Ennis just kind of bombed away to the body in that round, and they finished it, called it in the corner between rounds. Stanionis did have some moments catching Boots in between his shots, but I found it quite interesting that Ennis was able to out-jab the jabber. That might have been the story of the night. But, Des, this was a unification fight, and this was the first fight that in a long time where Ennis has not had to stay with the 10-pound IBF rehydration rule. And he just looked a different animal in there to me. I bet he was in there at about 165 pounds. He looked healthy. He looked sharp. And I think the Boots, without that rehydration clause, is a different fighter. Taking him from that, A- B+ echelon of fighters into A+, I don't know.
Yeah, a couple of things to unpack here. Firstly, before we start, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Palm Sunday, and whatever your faith, whatever your religion might be, I wish everybody a really happy Easter week. And if I don't speak to everyone before next Sunday, a very happy Easter.
And in the words of Billy Joe Shaver, Des, if you don't love Jesus Christ, you can go to hell.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack there. Right, so you're a boxing guy, Matty, and you know you're boxing. I don't think for 1 minute you thought Stanionis beats Boots, but I do think you fell in love with their value with the odds. And I think at 4.5 to 1, I think there was a lot of value in a very good fighter, a world-class fighter, and a world champion. So I can see why you fell in love with the odds. But I don't think you ever said to me Stanionis is going to beat Boots. I just think you said it was good value for such a good fighter, which is true. But we also said in the same conversation, and it was sent to me today, and I put it up on the chat, not to be a know-it-all, but I forgot I had the conversation with you about it. And I've kind of thought back, and I've decompartmentalized everything we've spoken about with Boots, and he was due a good one. I don't think he's ever been in big trouble. I don't think he looked as good as he could do. And I think Stanionis was probably the perfect opponent at the perfect time for someone as talented as Ennis. So both of these kids are world class and they've both got levels of talent. But Boots' talent it's a lot higher than Stanionis's. And because Boots' style is a lot more fluid. He's a punch picker. He's got a great selection of shots. He shows loads of variation. He shows angles. He can spin off. He's fluid. And his style is very spontaneous. So what I mean by that is someone like Boots doesn't have to follow a process. He can react and respond as and where. And I think someone like Stanionis, who's predictable, because he does things in straight lines, in the words of Roger Mayweather, he's a straight up and down type of kid. He's flat-footed, but he's very solid. But
Boots is jazz, but Stanionis is chamber music.
Right, you got it. And I just think last night was an opportunity for Boots to say, right, I've come through as a world-class prospect. I've picked up a world title. I've done my first defense. I've done the homecoming. Tonight, out in Atlantic City, is where I show everybody how good I am. And to be honest, I agree with you with the weight making thing. We saw a different animal in Boots, which is probably why we could talk about him moving up now to 54. I don't think there's much for him at 47. But going back to last night and that performance, I think if the right Boots turned up, so he was hydrated and he was well fed, he had a kid coming forward in straight lines who was flat footed, I just thought it was an opportunity for Boots to get a good start, out jab the jabber, because he had a lot more speed, a lot more snap, and I think Boots grew into the fight. And something interesting happened. But that I like to look at the response of the fighter going into the fifth round, four rounds down. Stanionis did make a change. He thought, right, I'm not gonna continue being, flicked and moved off, and I'm gonna put my foot down. I'm gonna try and corner Boots. But then he got heavy bagged. So it shows you the variation that Boots has got. He can hit you to the body. He can jab, right hand downstairs and come back with a jab. Last night, Boots was all wrong for Stanionis, and it showed us a lot of the things that we've been saying about Ennis, a lot of the things that we've thought about him. I think now it's confirmed a lot of our suspicions that he's a very, very good fighter with all the things that I said, variation, selection, shots. He's a shot picker. He's got great angles, got really good feet. The only flaw I felt in Boots last night, I thought he was too easy to hit, considering how predictable Stanionis is. Boots would have known if I'm there, he's going to land. But he allowed himself to get caught. But I mean, look, it was a really good performance. I think Boots was due a good performance. Exactly what I thought would happen. And it's interesting to see where Ennis goes now. Personally, I think he'll move on. I don't think there's much at 47. And I think 54 is warming up nicely. I think there's some big personalities at 54. And I think Boots will go into that division as a really big player. And I think there's too many banana skins at 47. You've got guys like Brian Norman coming through, and there's an awful lot of risk but not a lot of reward. So I expect to see Boots now put that title down and move up to 54.
Yeah, I would have to expect, Norman is an interesting fight because Norman came into a title fight and looked like he found another level. And then in his first defense, he absolutely wrecked Cuevas, who isn't the greatest operator, but it's just the way that he dominated him. So it's one of those questions where if Norman isn't to become a much better fighter with the confidence of becoming a champion. So that's a question. As far as Barrios goes, I'm a fan of Mario Barrios. I've seen him, I think I've seen him live twice actually. And, but I tend to think that Boots would probably have his number a little bit. Barrios, even though he fights really well as a tall fighter, you can kind of see the way that Ramos was able to time him in his last fight and start to find the shots. And obviously, Ennis being who he is and more athletic, more accurate than Ramos, would probably be finding those holes without a problem.
The reason I say that, Matty, is we're used to 47 being stacked. It's a Premier Division, always has been. It's the superstar division. It's where they all want to get to. But for the first time in a very, very long time, I don't think we have a lot of talent down there. I don't think we have a lot of big names down there. And if you look at maybe put Ryan Garcia to one side, I like Brian Norman, but I think he comes with an awful lot of jeopardy and not a lot of money. And Barrios, I think he's won. I have to check his record. He's won 4 out of his last 6 or something like that. So, or 3 out of his last 7, something like that. So, I don't think they're going to be able to sell. I don't think Boots will generate the money he wants down at 47. So for that reason, he's done that. He'll sign that off, and I think there's so much more to be had upstairs. But we'll see. I mean, I know you've got loads to talk about, and I don't want to add to that. But I just think that we've probably seen the last of Boots at 47. And looking at his weight last night, it really suited him.
He would knock out Barrios within 6 rounds, and he would probably stop Norman late. So you're right; those don't do anything for him. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah, and the Ortiz fight is probably pretty easy fight to make, Justin. They did say that there's some similarities in the style of Ortiz and Stanionis, but I think that Ortiz is probably a bit more athletic than Stanionis. I don't think he has the same jab that he has, but he has more variation in his punches. He's probably a bigger puncher. I don't necessarily know that it's a foregone conclusion how that goes, but style to style, after last night, the way that Ennis was able to take advantage of high guard, like he might have to walk through fire at times to do it, but I tend to lean on Boots coming away with a win against Ortiz.
Well, see, last night was can y'all hear me correct?
Oh yeah, you're fine.
Okay, because I'm having to go hide in the gym of the hotel because they're having some kind of, I don't know what the hell's going on outside. But anyway, that's another story. But I think last night was the Ennis that we all expected to see. Because we have to admit, his last, 3 or 4 fights, he hasn't been spectacular. But last night, I think we all expected, I think Des said it, I don't think anybody really thought Stanionis was going to win. We just thought he would put up a better fight. But Boots was just so much bigger. I don't think anybody realized that he was going to be like, you could just tell he was so much bigger than Stanionis was. And Ennis does everything better than Stanionis times 5. And Stanionis, that European style, come right at Ennis. He didn't even, if you notice, what's Stanionis' number one thing? It's jab. He didn't even throw that much because Boots just took it away. And Boots just the first 2 or 3 rounds moved really well, just pop shot at him, did what he wanted to do. And like Des said, about round 4, Stanionis started to get him a little bit. And then all of a sudden, round 5, Ennis said, you know what? I'm not going to move as much. I'm going to stand here and just start laying on my punches, start getting behind him a little bit more. And then he just started piecing Stanionis up when he started really sitting on those shots. And then round 6, like Des said, he was sitting on the body shots. He was putting everything, leverage on those left hands and right hands, and Stanionis could not take it. And I remember it was
he heavy bagged him, didn't he? Yeah,
he did.
He heavy bagged him, didn't he? Yeah.
He just stood there and was like really putting it. And then I think I said it like 10 seconds before they called it. But what's his name? Melvin Samudio, and that the wild card guy. That was his trainer. Yeah. And we've all watched fights. We've all seen tens of thousands of fights on here. When the corner man goes and whispers in the ear, you know it's over. Or this is your last round, or I'm going to call it. And that's when I said, I was like, this is over. He's either going to call it or they're going to let him go one more round. Then they called it. I don't think that Stanionis was – I don't think it was an injury why they stopped it. I think it was you've got nothing for him. Your style's not going to change anything. You're not a one-hit quitter puncher. Boots is putting it on you. Look at your face. The last 2 rounds, you have taken hellacious shots. I think they knew we're going to pack you up, go home, regroup. This man is not right for you. Let's just move on to something else. Because Stanionis can still play at 147. With Norman, with Barrios. He can't play with Boots because Boots is another level to those guys. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's a confidence-sucking fight, you know?
Yeah, and so I'm thinking it's like, if they just saved Stanionis. If Stanionis is, you saw in his fights, he is a come forward, 1-2 type guy. He comes at you, but that Boots, that is an elite level like fighter like him. That is exactly what he wants to happen. I just thought Stanionis would maybe win 2 or 3 rounds. He would give it a good go, but they knew it. They're not stupid. Why let him take? Because Stanionis is that kind of guy, though. You saw it in his Whittaker fight. He would have stood in there and taken every one of those shots until he just couldn't get up. There's no need for that. There's no point of him just getting beat. And so I don't mind the stoppage. I know people were like, oh, it's early and he quit. Sometimes it might be called quit. Whatever you want to call it. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror and be like, hey, ain't no way in hell I'm beating this guy. And why I'm just going to get destroyed and I'm going to get hurt. Let's just move on. And Boots, I think Des is 100% right. He'll move up. There's nothing down. There's no money at 147. He'll destroy these guys. He needs to go to 154. He looked really rough on the scales. He looked like a skeleton. He has to hydrate so much. It's like he needs to go up and move on.
Yeah, and I think being IVF champion isn't necessarily the right move for him because of the rehydration clause and stuff on that. Because as soon as it's out of the way, he looked the package that people thought he was when he was coming up before his career kind of stalled just due to inactivity and bouncing promoters, trying to find the right opponents, etc. But it's. I believe I had to go back through the chat. It might be a bit back there, but I think FMG had asked us in the chat, Des, if we thought that there might have been something that people knew beforehand, given how wide the odds were as far as Stanionis and the fact they pulled him quickly. I guess maybe a little bit reminiscent of Garcia against Tank. Is that reaching a bit, or did the odds makers just see something we didn't? I mean, to be fair, amateur experience, et cetera. I mean, Ennis does come from a fighting family, grew up in Philadelphia, which is going to lean into a lot greater experience in the ring than, Lithuania.
Now, look, in isolation, we know how good Stanionis is. And perhaps if it's a tools race, you think Stanionis is a bit long at 9-2. But I think bookies want to try and entice people because a bookmaker would know he ain't going to beat Boots. Now, on the scale, on reflection of the last 3 or 4 bouts Boots has had, I think you might say, well, if the right person turns up, they could catch Boots out. But I think if you're, I mean, these betting companies, they have experts in every sport. They know what they're doing. So I think they would just try to entice the punter to say, look, I could put a 5 on that or a 10 on it. He's worth 50 quid. And I think that's all it was. Look, I just said it before. You're a boxing guy. You've watched these guys from the start. Even you fancied it. Justin made that point. You might have fancied it, but did you really think he was going to win? I don't think any of us really thought Stanionis was going to beat Boots. And if I'd have come across someone that said, no, I'm telling you, Stanionis will win, I'd have thought he probably don't know much about boxing. I just think it was a carrot. It was just they've just hung it out a little bit and tried to get a few bites.
I think it had to get into the last half, into the later rounds, really, for that value to necessarily kick in, because I think a lot of what people were thinking, and again, our boner on not considering, oh yeah, it's a unification, the rehydration clause isn't in play, which as I said, I think that was a portion of the narrative of this fight. But ultimately, I think the way that we were seeing it through is it gets into the later rounds. That's when it's going to get questionable, because Stanionis has been durable. He's a come forward guy, and he will test you out pretty late. But we never got to that moment. And Boots was having to work to keep him off, though. That's the thing. The activity level he had to produce was pretty high.
But I said a couple of weeks ago, this is the sort of one that's an in-play job. Like, after the first 6 minutes, Stanionis just ain't going to get to Boots. This styles do not blend. He has got no chance with this version of Gerard Ennis. I think to come back to something that Fergal asked, why did they pull him when he was having a degree of success, or maybe pull him so early? I think the corner said to him in round 4, if you don't show me something, I'm going to have to pull you out because you're going to cop a good hiding. And I think he had a more proactive 5th round, but he was heavy bagged. He tried again at round 6, but got heavy bagged, and they pulled him. So I think the reason you saw him look a bit more proactive over them sort of 2 rounds is because he was probably told, he was whispered in his ear, if you don't show me something different, I'm going to have to pull you because you'll have no career if you stay in here for another 4 or 5 rounds after this. So that's why I think there was 3 or 4 things all happened at once. I think the bookies thought they could maybe throw a carrot out to the mug punter. I think the corner thought, look, the first 4 rounds have not been successful, and this guy's in a groove now, which he was. Ennis grew into that fight and he got comfortable. And I think you've got to change it up a bit. And sometimes when you've got a flat-footed, come forward hard man who's got a good jab, sometimes trainers say, just put it on him. But this reminded me so much of the type of fights that I grew up watching for 15, 20 years, where the American was just so good and the European was so basic. And although we're good at what we do, we could never crack what you guys did. And last night was a perfect example of that. It was just a European style was just so ineffective against a fluid, loose, shot picking, counter punching, angles, stepping off style. And I go back to what I said about Boots. He's very spontaneous. He doesn't have to follow a process. He can ad lib. And that's what he was doing last night. Whatever Stanionis done, and it was invariably in straight lines, Boots had the answer. So I just think it was just a combination of a few things.
Interesting you say it. So let me use that to segue. Now, another impressive performance on this card was Raymond Ford against Thomas Matise. Went all 10 rounds. What was very interesting about this fight is that Matise only threw 125 to 126 punches over 10 rounds, all right? Just over 12 punches thrown per round. Matise just absolutely kept his hands at home. But you said that, Boots, he's kind of jazz a little improvisational, but despite everything amazing that I think has happened for Raymond Ford since his move to 130 pounds, I got to tell you, Des, he is pretty consistently a jab, left hand, and some variation of the right hand puncher, a 1-2-3, 1-2-1, 1-2 swivel jab kind of guy. And that's the one thing that I think, because there's a lot to like between both Boots and Ray Ford, obviously. But I think that as much as I want to give Ford so much praise, because I rate Matisse. He's been a quality operator. He's never been stopped. He's gotten hosed out of some victories that he should have had. And he just became absolutely reluctant to let his hands go. But it was very much through a program process for Ford, in my opinion.
You said something there. Raymond Ford throws like generally 3 or 4 punch combinations, and last night he favoured the 3 punch. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was fighting orthodox last night, or no, he was southpaw, wasn't he? Last night,
southpaw, yeah.
Yeah, so he was throwing that. He's very Mayweather-esque. He was throwing a 1-2, but finishing with the jab, and it was catching Matisse out. And I think by round 4, Matisse had been peppered so much. I think he was shell-shocked, and he knew every time I let my hands go or try and find a foot in this fight, I keep getting countered and caught over the top. And it wasn't a jab or a 1-2. It was a 1-2-3. He finished every exchange with a jab, and it was a good jab. Now, with a case of Raymond Ford, I think we've got to say that if there was ever a fighter that benefited from the extra £4, it's Ray Ford. Now, he's not a puncher. He's never going to be a puncher, but he's got very good timing. He throws his punches very fast. He has a lot of snap. And that makes him a bit of a fudder. And I think that fudding process, I just think it knocked Matisse into a shell. And I just think the punch stats don't lie. He was reluctant to engage. He didn't want to throw. And after about round 6, you could look at Matisse and say, he's in a place now where he just wants to hear the last belt. And Raymond Ford was going through the motions and really finding his groove. I thought it was a great performance from Ford last night. And I think Ford at super feather is a top contender. It's a very good division. I think he's a very good fighter. He's going to be very hard to beat. Maybe Nick Ball showed us that the only way to beat Raymond Ford is to put him on the back foot and make him be reactive for large spells of the fight. But if you get a proactive Raymond Ford that comes forward, that wants to let his hands go, you're quite right. It's threes, it's fours, it's combination punches, it's body and head. He's a very good fighter. I'm a big fan of Raymond Ford.
Well, he was Ford. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Ford was going to stop him in the first 2 or 3 rounds if Matise didn't completely change his style and just survive. Because
Justin,
Ford was
remind me, Justin. Right, there was a fight Raymond Ford was in a couple ones back. He threw the best. I think it was the best southpaw backhand I've seen in a long time. It was a brilliant technique, but you'd have thought it'd have put most people to sleep. But the kid got up, and I think Raymond Ford went on to win the fight by decision. But
same as last night.
Yeah, he doesn't go looking for him. I don't know if that's a mindset. I don't know what it is, but he doesn't go looking for him.
I think last night was a little bit of him not going for it and the fact that Matisse just completely checked out as far as trying to win the fight. More of let me just – and then, Ford also, if you notice too, Ford's changed his style all of a sudden. He started like on the back foot for like a few rounds, letting Matisse come at him. And then Matisse – what the hell is Matisse going to do? He was coming at him, but he wasn't throwing any punches. So the fight really should have never went. And you're right. That always hurts you. If you've got a guy hurt at the high level, you've got to finish that guy. And he let Matisse should have never went the full distance because Ford should have just kept on him. But Matisse you're right, he survived. That fight was Matisse, like Matt said, Matisse is a decent fighter, but he did not want any bit of that fight last night. I'll give him this.
I think he was peppered and shell-shocked very early.
I'll give him this though. He didn't quit. He didn't fight back either, but he didn't quit. He just made it look. He did a professional. I'm not going to get my ass knocked out decision. I'm going to do enough to get by where I finished, but I'm not going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like Ford was throwing that. Was just probably throwing 5 punches more than the division average, but everything that he threw had intent on it. And I guarantee you this morning that Matisse, his hands hurt not from touching Ford, but from getting touched by Ford. I guarantee you his elbows hurt from having to avoid those body shots that Ford was trying to soak into his body. It was, he was outthrown at a clip of about 4-1. Yeah, that's a pretty rare feat in there. So hopefully, boxing politics comes together because I think there's some good fights out there for him. I think that his IQ and a lot that he has going for him, I think that he would have Navarrete's number. That's just a hunch. But I think that Ray Ford against Oshaki Foster is like a low-key hardcore's fight. It's got a lot of tasty elements to it on the technical aspect of things, and each guy is going to have to make multiple adjustments.
And they're both very good kids. They're both very good kids, them two, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see boxing politics work out favorably to see that happen because I would love to see Ford against either Foster or Navarrete. Someone mentioned Kakachi. I think that he would have Kakachi's number in spades. To be honest with you, it's just my hunch. Yeah, there's a lot of options for Ford, and he might find himself the number one dog at 130 pounds. It's entirely possible there. So, and that might give him a chance to get a rematch with Ball down the line. You never know how the world works out on that one. But it was a pretty good performance by both guys, and I think it's just interesting how both of them were able to basically keep their opponents' hands at home and do their work. It's just, Boots is just a much more of a physically imposing person, and clearly it seems to be a much bigger puncher, as his record would show, than Raymond Ford. Were you saying something there, Des?
No, sorry, mate. I wasn't.
No, you're fine. I just want to go and I want to check the names of the other people on the card here before I go running my mouth. Let's see here. Ford. Good old Boxrec, who's not keeping WBA title fights anymore in their information, if I recall, because there's that other entity who's got involved in the WBA one with them. But then you see stupid stuff like Miller getting moved up in the rankings, like 9 spots without fighting, and you're like, yeah, maybe leave the WBA out of this. So yeah, also on that undercard, speaking of 147 pounds, though, Shakram Giasov was on there, getting an early stoppage over Franco Maximiliano Ocampo, who came in like 5 pounds over the weight. And it was really emotional at the end there, Justin, for Giasov. I don't know if you caught the post fight interview, but Giasov, like a month ago, had lost an infant daughter, and he had held it together pretty well until the end. But it was a pretty touching moment for a guy who clearly had been just suffering through all sorts of emotional toil as he was going through this camp. And it might have not been over a big name, but he's back in the KO board. And Giasov is a capable fighter, especially in a really empty 147-pound division.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, you got to imagine, though, boxing is probably a way to keep his head clear when you've got bad things that happen in life. At least you can focus on the training, focus on the basics, and I'm sure that helps get through. Not get, you know what I'm saying? It helps cope. But yeah, his opponent last night, Ocampos, was horrible. I mean, that guy did not show up to do anything. So, but it was a good win, and especially if Boots does leave, which I think he will, you got to say that Giasov, he plays versus the top 10 guys. I mean, he could get a title. He could get in there versus Norman and all Barrios, those other guys. So it's wide open for him. Yeah, you're right. He could definitely get a title with all those guys. I don't see any reason why he couldn't compete and sneak a title with one of them. Definitely.
I think particularly Giasov against Brian Norman Jr., just in my head, it seems like it could be a good fight.
I mean, might as well. They both fight for the same people, so you can. Oh, what, Norman's zone too, right?
No, Norman's on Top Rank still.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but we got to remember the Top Rank might end up over on zone. Apparently, they're in talks with Amazon too, but I think Amazon's going to be really hesitant with the way the PBC.
Why would you? Yeah,
at this point in time.
Yeah, if I'm Amazon, I'm like, well, we just got completely destroyed by PBC. I don't know why they would be, even though I do believe Top Rank would do a better job than PBC has. I think they would actually, have fights once in a while. And then, compare, because we know the Amazon deal has completely bombed. They haven't come through with anything they said they were going to do. So I don't know how much money Amazon lost on that. I don't know what kind of. It always makes you wonder why you would want to get in bed with PBC, because they've kind of screwed the last 3 people they've dealt with. So I don't know why you would want to keep giving them money and keep giving them TV contracts, because they don't have the best of track record. But anyway, that's another sidetrack story. But yeah, Giasov could definitely play, and we'll definitely give him a shot versus. I mean, I know I said his name 5 times now, but Barrios, if he is in your top 3 or 4 of the division, it's not the best division, because Barrios is like mid-level at best. I don't care what anybody says. He's not an elite. He's not a champion type guy or a top 4 division type guy, in my opinion. And so So if he's your top guy, then anybody can play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to think. Des, you didn't see the Giasov fight, did you?
No, I was a part-timer this weekend, mate. I've not seen a lot of boxing at all.
No, you're fine. And the only other fight that was on that one was Omari Jones on there picking up a pretty quick stoppage. He was a U.S. Olympian, our only medalist. Picked up a bronze. I think this was in the welterweight division, and he looks like he could be something decent. Going in there with a guy who was like 13-5 in his second pro fight. I found it. It's so tough to tell, and in one round, just like what are we really going to glean out of that?
Did you hear what the announcer said about that Jackson guy?
What's that?
They knew he was wouldn't last like a round, because he told him, I'm not going to last a round.
Oh, Jesus.
He told him, he's like, yeah, I'm not in the best shape, and I haven't really put I'm 100% sure that the announcer said he told them, yeah, I'm a little weak to the body because I haven't been able to put the work in for this fight. I don't know how long I'll go. He went like 35 seconds. Like he told them, I'm not going to go that long. I don't think I've ever heard an announcer come out and say, yeah, the boxer told us that he didn't really have it. Like before the fight. Like he's like his body, he's just not feeling it. So why in the hell would you like pull him? Like, I mean, I got find somebody else. When you tell the announcer, hey, yeah, I don't have it. That's it. That's just I've never heard that. I don't know if anybody else has, but I've never heard a announcer come out and say, "Oh yeah, he don't have it tonight. He already told us this. We're gonna last long."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was. Yeah, it's one of those things you wish you heard 10 hours before, so you could put some money on a first round stoppage or something. Live and learn, I guess. But before we go into the pro box card there, Des, you saw some amateur boxing action this weekend. So you say that you play the casual role, but you're actually watching, amateur boxing. I say that's a little bit more hardcore than the rest of us.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I like the amateurs. I think there's a lot of honesty in the amateur game. Not so much from the officials and the way it's constructed and the way it's run, but I love the honesty of the kids. That a kid can turn up to a gym and train 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day, eat properly, and dedicate and commit themselves to a sport that doesn't give them anything other than a trophy and a bit of purpose. It gives them a lot of discipline. He said they've got to dedicate themselves. And I always think boxers are special people. And I think they're no more special than amateur boxers that get out on club shows, get out in national tournaments, and go all around the country, take time away from their families, their homes, their schooling, their college work, their jobs, to perform for what is really a hobby. So, like this week, it was the national quarterfinals and the semi-finals over in England. And friend of the pod, Billy Macy, he got a draw in the quarterfinal. The kid pulled out on the scales. Billy weighed in bang on this morning, and he boxed really well against Lewis Coxey. Both kids boxed really well, but Billy come through as a unanimous winner. So, friend of the pod, Billy Mason, goes on to the national finals, and I'm really confident that we're going to have a national champion with us.
Excellent. And when are those finals going to be happening?
I believe it's next week in Derby. I'll have to check maybe Ruben can put us straight if he's in the chat, or maybe Joseph. But I believe I know there's national finals going on next week in Derby, and I think Billy's on that one. So I'm expecting it to be next week.
So this is the semifinals and finals next week.
Quarterfinals and semifinals this weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
What weight is he?
He's 68 kilo.
Oh. Is it? It's on. I think you posted. I think it's on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on YouTube now. It'll be on YouTube and it'll be on our WhatsApp chats if anyone wants to see it. But it was two international level kids, both open class fighters. So you don't get an easy fight at this level. So it'd be interesting to see how Billy gets on. Fingers crossed he goes on to the final next week. He wins it. And then, of course, after that, he goes on to development squads and international boxing and multinational boxing. And we don't know what the future holds for these kids yet. So we take it one step at a time. And we always have to talk about them with respect for their amateur clubs too, before we talk about pro boxing. And so we have to speak to amateur boxers with a degree of respect, because they've got amateur trainers and amateur clubs looking out for them and looking after them and doing an awful lot of work for nothing, out of the goodness of their heart. So Billy boxes for Raymond Boxing Club. He's boxed for West Ham. He's boxed for Dagenham. So he's been around some really good coaches. He's been around some really good clubs, and he's really enjoying his boxing. He's doing very, very well. And he's a friend of the pod, so that makes it even better, doesn't it?
We wish him the best of luck. I too support the amateurs, but a different sport. Well, it's not really a sport. It's pornography. Anyhow. Oh, come on. Where's the love on that? That's some good shit. But anyhow, but we also saw some pro box action last night. Speaking of action, there was.
You always sell close to the wind, didn't you, Matty? We're talking about the love of amateur boxing, and then you took it to pornography. You always go nuclear, didn't you?
You got to. You got to. I've got to try to preserve some level of Nuthouse, right? If it has to fall on me, damn it, then I'm going to have to fall on that sword. So, I'll tell you what, Justin, as far as the Pro Box card goes, I think I'd like to kick it off with a guy who just has been so freaking passive in the opportunities he's been given, and I'm just struggling for the name of his opponent, but Stephen Shaw. I mean, he went in there like in a minute and just blasted this dude out. 18-1 record, decent enough operator, not world class, but Shaw he looked a freaking $1 million at the end of the day there, real quick. What were your thoughts on Shaw? Let's kick it off with that. It was potentially a knockout of the year. Dude just laid out, on the ring apron. It was nasty.
The bad thing is I've seen that Akbajori guy get destroyed before, but I couldn't remember last night. Was it Top Rank that pushed Stephen Shaw? Which one was pushing him a little bit?
He was fighting Shaw, and then he fought a Jogba, and he was just like kind of
Shaw. That's the one. That's the one where people thought that they just put them in there together because it was like a prospect go home type fight, and they were giving Shaw like a push, but he's terrible. Even though he had the knockout last night, Stephen Shaw is just not that good. So it shows how bad Akpajari is because he got obliterated. I mean, because I think, what was it, like 30, it wasn't even a minute. It's like the first 2 shots he landed just took him out. But yeah, I mean, Shaw, he's another one of those the Pro Box finds. They always find these guys that used to be getting pushes at other places, and they give them like one more shot to see what you got. And they don't have a lot of heavyweights at Pro Box. So I guess, hey, he won this fight. If they can work Shaw, get him a couple of another Akpajaris, they might get him into a bigger fight and kind of work him into something. But Shaw's he's just not that good. He looks like he's about 67 years old. He's just.
I love that too. Where they get this old fucker? It's like the Samuel L. Jackson. And
he does. That's what he looked like. and this just me, but he had that old man body too. You know what I'm talking about? He had like that old man physique. He just looked way older than he's supposed to be.
Looked like he was one of fucking the opponent's Oliver McCall's taken off.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, hell, Pro Box. McCall is still around, and I know I get into the history part of it, but if anybody on here, we make fun of Oliver McCall. Forget the him fighting at 80. Forget the Lennox Lewis crying fight. Go back and watch old Oliver McCall fights. He was good.
Oh, he was.
Oliver McCall was really good. And if you want to go back and watch, if you take prime McCall, pre-crying, collapse versus Lennox Lewis, he would be he could be a champion right now with these guys. He had the ability. He just was mentally screwed. He just didn't have it. But yeah, Stephen Shaw, he plays at a level, and we saw his level last night. So you can easily pop 8 or 10 random dudes on Pro Box, and he could win 6, 7 in a row. And you know how the rankings are. God knows how you can get high in the rankings for doing nothing. So you never know. Pro Box could, but I don't think Pro Box is like that. I don't think they're not like that. They're not going to give him 10 touches. He'll probably be in there versus a name guy 2 weeks from now. But yeah, that was a good knockout. I kind of expected it to go a few rounds because I don't think Shaw's that great, but he just killed that guy.
Yeah, Shaw's the kind of guy I'd like to see in with, the Jalalovs of the world and stuff like that. Like, I don't think he's, obviously a champion level, but I think in the right situations, he's a good test for prospects. It's just, he could be the new Kingpin, he's not that old.
The only thing about it is, though,
he looks older.
The only thing about Kingpin was, though, is that man could take a shot and had hellacious old man defense. Shaw doesn't have that. Kingpin can look after himself. I don't think Shaw would be able to kingpin people because you remember Kingpin was pushed as like the next guy who could take a Klitschko. He was pushed as this guy is a young American champion. Did not work out well, obviously, but Kingpin is, you could talk crap all you want to about his career, how it ended. The man knew how to handle himself. And he knew how to get through a fight, and he knew how to get you work. I don't know if Shaw has that kind of ability to kingpin people.
Yeah, I think that's probably what his top best level could be. So maybe he'll find out. We'll one of these days, I guess.
Hell, he could fight Kingpin. He's still around, living in Russia or something. They could probably just fight each other on Pro Box.
Yeah, Kevin Johnsonski or what the fuck ever he changed his name, or Vladimir Johnsonski. You want
him and like what Dennis Rodman and all those people over Steven Seagal,
Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah, all training together right now.
I swear to God. Yeah, swear to God. Anyhow, but yeah, also on that card, let's see here. William Foster III got a decision over Brandon Leon Benettez. Benettez tried at times, but Foster ultimately came on in the last half. He's just he's a talented fighter with a couple of losses on his ledger, but I don't know. I think he's kind of evolving into like that gatekeeper status. I mean, there's a lot to like about William Foster III, but he's just not the complete package, Justin.
I mean, he has a weird style that I think that's kind of hurt him getting bigger fights, because he's like why do you need to fight William Foster? Because he's going to make things a little tricky and you don't gain anything really. But yeah, his fight he should have probably got that guy out of there, but that guy was just tough because he landed a lot of shots on him. That guy's nose was busted, his eye was busted, and he just kept going. So that's just one of those deals. Sometimes you're not going to be able to just knock a guy out. But so it was an interesting fight. I'd kind of had it in the corner of my screen on the TV. I was kind of just glancing at it because I was watching the zone card a little bit more than I was watching that one, but it was okay.
Oh, yeah, there it was on mute. And topping that card was Jordan White against Jose Matias Romero. White, another one where you kind of felt like maybe he could have gotten the stoppage in there if he would have stepped on the gas, but he's a talented fighter. At the end of the day, he's a 130-pound guy. A lot of skill there. I think, unfortunately, that White could just find himself in the who needs him club right there, along with William Foster III. What do you think, Justin?
Definitely. Give me about 3 minutes. I got to check into my room real quick.
No, you're fine. Yeah, so we on that fight, it was White. He's a talented fighter. His only loss of his career was back like in his fourth fight or something of that nature. And it was against Adam Lopez. So, I mean, who obviously saw evolve as a fighter and give some very decent fighters a good run. And that was only in Lopez's seventh fight. So it's interesting to see how he's come along on that. I mean, being undefeated since then. He's picked up a couple of people's O's along the way, too. Michel Lopez, Erdison Garcia, who I believe has one of the people who might have beat William Foster III. But yeah, it's this guy. It's Michel Lopez. There's a lot to like there, so he might find himself actually working into a title opportunity there. Jordan Roach, who is the brother of Lamont Roach Jr., was on there.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's what I was wondering too. I'm back now. That's what I was wondering. Was that his brother? And I guess you were right. It was his brother.
Yeah, and he's a decent enough fighter, but I don't think he's going to be at Lamont's level. But then again, I underrated Lamont for quite a while, and he really found himself in that Hector Luis Garcia fight, and the way he fought Tank was tremendous. I think the only other fight I'm positive I caught on there was Benjamin Johnson taking out Brandon Mendoza. That was just the fourth fight of his career. That is going to be a very interesting prospect, I think.
He's got power. I mean, he looks like he has legit. He looks like he has legit power. I don't know. We'll see when you go up the.
I think the Wi-Fi in your room might be crud, or you might be just getting connected in there again and in between connections. So yeah, we'll hold on for a second there. And Dez is supposed to be back here in a few as well. I'd like to thank David Palmer for dropping $4.99 in there. He said he'd like to see the Boots become undisputed by spanking Norman and Barrios and then moving up. And I agree. If he can make the weight, and especially if these are unification fights, so he's not going to have to worry about those the issues of the 10 pounds with the IBF. I'm a fan of that. I think guys legitimately claiming they cleared out of division is the best way to show your kind of your historical side, your claim for the Hall of Fame, your claim for history, where you sit among the greats. And sometimes you just have to clear out a lackluster division and get it over with. That's what Crawford did at 140 pounds. It was no real great shakes, and he went up there and just kind of kicked people's asses, and in a way he went to 147 pounds chasing greener pastures. And I think
what about I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine.
What about Alan Canuli? How many belts does he have to unify, or is he unified at least? So he's like, he might as well go get them. What else he got to do?
Lara and Adamas for the other two belts. And I think
he would beat Lara, I think, but Adamas might be tougher than we thought earlier.
I think it would be interesting about the Lara fight for him be to see if his combination of power and ring IQ and size would finally be what tips the scales for somebody to get a chance to stop Lara and do it really conclusively, early. Because I think who didn't somebody stop him real late in like the 11th or 12th round? I'm struggling to think who, because he's been around forever. God, can you remember, Justin? Did someone stop Lara?
As soon as you said it, I'm like, that's gonna take me 10 minutes to go down his box record. I don't. It sounds familiar, but it doesn't cross my. You have to check that. I can't think of anybody that stopped him late.
Good news is I was already on box rec, so that'll make everything easier. No,
it's probably going to be a very obvious name.
He hasn't been stopped still. It was he.
Okay, that's what I thought. I think he's been in some tough fights, but you're right. I didn't think he'd been. I think anybody had stopped him.
I think Hurd dropped him in the last round when they fought.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Hurd, that was when Hurd was doing his like bulldozing. You couldn't hurt him phase.
Yeah,
of his run.
Yeah, his half-size Joe Joyce.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, you just summed up Jared Hurd in about less than a sentence. He was the smaller Joe Joyce, and then all of a sudden just dropped right off the table, because we've said this 100 times. If you block punches with your face is eventually going to break. It cannot continually to take. The human brain is not meant to take massive shots forever. And you're right. If your only defense is, well, just kick me in the head and I won't go down, that's just not going to last. But you're right. I thought about that. He is the 154 Joe Joyce. And he even has the same speed. Remember, he wasn't that fast. He had good timing.
Yeah.
He is the Joe Joyce of 154.
The dulling of the reflexes really ruins that style, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is catch and shoot, but you're just catching punches with your face instead of your gloves.
But Joyce is just doing catch and catch and catch. And there's not a lot of shoot. There's not a lot of shoot. There's not a lot of shoot left in his game. I mean, we talked about that last week for a long time, and I'll say it again to Joe Joyce. Hopefully you hang it up.
Everybody, well, you think about like even people with good defense, like you go too long, you're gonna get stopped. Bernard Hopkins, it might have taken him to be 50 years old, but eventually you just, you can't tip your hat enough times and Joe Lewis him, but you're just gonna get caught eventually.
Well, here's the thing. There's only a handful of guys ever that went their whole careers to not get knocked out, or you got your Claudies. You've got your nobody's going to know this guy, but Benny Briscoe. He fought like in the 60s and the 70s. The man fought Marvin Hagler. He fought Carlos Monzon twice. He fought Emil Griffith twice. He never got knocked out until like late in his career when he was well past it. Those guys are few and far between that can fight legends and not get knocked out their whole career. I think those guys are not made.
You have to kind of give a nod to Sweet Pea on that one, because the last fight of his career was just a stool quit with, I think, his shoulder dislocation or some shit too.
Yeah, you're right. So those guys you rarely see those guys. That's what also,
Vitali?
You might not love. Yep, you might not love Floyd Mayweather, but the man went his whole career and never got lost and never got stopped, never really got hurt, like really hurt. Those are just those guys you don't. Like I said, I mentioned Benny Briscoe. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but he's probably one of my top 5 favorite fighters of all time, and nobody's ever heard of him. But he was from Philadelphia, bald guy like me. I kind of like that part of it. He was just a warrior. He went. I'm not going to this whole. I'm just going to make this one statement. If people want to look him up, this is when you know that you've won a fight. He fought Carlos, and we all know who Carlos Monzon is. One of the best fighters of all time. He went
arguably
to
the greatest middleweight of all time. It's one of those.
He went to Argentina and fought him for the middleweight championship of the world. It was a 15-round draw. So guess what? Benny Briscoe won that fight. I watched the fight. If you go there and they give the home fighter like Monzon in Argentina a draw, he lost. He definitely lost the fight. Then he fought him to a split decision years later. That's Benny Briscoe. He fought Marvin Hagler to a 10-round split decision. Nobody ever knows who. That's why I love these guys. Nobody knows who they are. But if you go, you should go back and watch that fight on YouTube. Can you imagine going to Argentina at the height of Monzon's popularity? That crowd, and then you got little Benny Briscoe popping out there with like 2 guys that he brought with him. No fans are there for him. Those are the kind of fights I go back and I'm like, could you imagine being him and his 2 little trainers coming out to that kind of bile in Argentina, and then you go in there and you win, but you don't get it. I mean, those are the ones. It's like that's why I love boxing. It's just the grit and the stories and him running out there with a little towel wrapped around his neck and coming out and like those crowds just spitting at him. And I mean, and then looking across the ring at one of the best fighters of all time, and nobody even knows who you are. Like I said, we could have a whole new podcast about historical stuff. I just love that shit. I think it's just anybody who wants to look up Benny Briscoe, look up his career. The man people should remember him more than he also fought Matthew Saad Muhammad. People should remember the man more.
No, some of those South American fights were like dirty as shit, and I'm not even talking decades upon decades ago. Like an interesting rivalry was Ricardo Torres and Kendall Holt, and obviously they had their fight in the States. It was a 1-rounder that was absolutely batshit with 3 knockdowns, a headbutt, and a knockout of the year candidate. But their fight, I think Torres is from Colombia. Like they're like during the fight, like they're literally the fans are like throwing shit into the ring and shit like that. And like nobody gives a fuck. It's just it's so obviously blatantly rigged.
Yeah. It's like Landon Donovan. He's a U.S. soccer star. He said when you would go to Latin America as an American, they would he said they would piss and shit in Ziploc bags. And they would throw it at your head when you were trying to walk into the stadium and like hit you in the face with bags of piss. That's what these fighters the same way. They would like the stuff they had to go through. And then, like in Briscoe's case, and then you get screwed as well. I don't even know how. It's amazing that you could come back and fight 20 more times and fight Hagler and all these guys knowing what you went through and that you won. That's why when they screw a fighter on the cards, I don't think these guys realize how much they're actually screwing the guys over themselves. Not just the championship, but everything else in their life, how it's affected. And then I don't think they realize how much that rolls downhill. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox on that one.
No. And I think, God, here's one for you, Des, that maybe you might remember of all boxing lore kind of shit. Didn't Reuben Carter get screwed on the cards in South America?
I don't know if it was South America, but he got screwed on the cards. Yeah, he lost. He wasn't a very popular bloke, and he had a bit of a bad attitude. So back then, judges found it very easy to job him. He got jobbed a few times.
One of those guys, kind of like Hagler, where he didn't have the right connections, and
and he was mean. Like Hagler, he was mean. He was moody. He didn't have an Olympic gold medal around his neck, so they found it very easy to park him up. Yeah, so that when he came out of prison, I don't know I don't know how much of it was that he served all that time for being accused of a crime he didn't commit, and how much the decision was so bad against him. But the WBC gave him an honorary belt and said, "You are our champion." So, yeah, it was widely regarded that he got dropped on the cards that night.
Well, here's something that this is not trying to be contradictory, but everybody knows Burt Sugar, right? And
of course,
famous. He said he was at that fight where they said Carter got robbed for the title. He said Carter clearly lost, and he was sitting in the front row.
Yeah, that's
he
interesting.
Said Burt Sugar. It was Burt Sugar. It was Burt Sugar. I know it was Burt Sugar that said he lost that fight, and he said that all these years people have said that he got robbed and everything. He's like he thought he lost. And that's the first time I've ever heard that because you've seen the Denzel movie and then you hear the song and everything. You think, okay, well he got screwed, but when you really look into it, one of the famous writers of all time said, "I think he lost. I think he lost," and it makes you think Burt Sugar was a pretty down the middle kind of guy. I mean, maybe he might have had bias. I'm just saying, not to be contradictory. I just heard that like a few months ago. Somebody, I don't know where I read that somewhere, and I was like, I never heard that. Never heard anybody say that.
That's interesting. It kind of goes in the idea with when you're trying to paint this broader picture, you kind of just paint the whole thing like the whole story is he's the hard luck guy and stuff like that, because I think you're kind of hard pressed to find people who think he was actually guilty of the crime. I mean, there's a couple of randoms and shit like that, but the whole narrative is like around every corner the guy is getting screwed. But interesting. I might have to Google that up and I bet if you Google Burt Sugar and Reuben Carter, I bet you pull up something on it. To be honest with you, it's the internet, the way it works. So yeah, interesting sidebar. I enjoyed that. Quite a bit. So let's see here. Okay, cool.
I don't know if this helps you, Matty.
Go ahead.
But the fight you're talking about, it actually happened at a convention hall in Philadelphia, where he lost a 15-round unanimous decision for the WBC middleweight title against Joey Giardiello.
That was against an Italian. That brings up all sorts of possibilities during that era. I don't know.
Listen to Joey's record at the time of fighting. It was 93 wins, 23 losses, and 8 draws. And Joey finished with a career of 97 wins, 26 losses, and 8 draws. Boxers were built different back then, weren't they?
Yeah, and you didn't see a lot of them who were looking good in their 60s kind of thing. They all kind of died. I think Dempsey lived a pretty long life, but I think Jack Dempsey, he retired by his mid-30s. He was done after the second Tunney fight, I think.
There's a picture on Google.
Sorry, Jeff.
No, sorry. But I said there's a picture. There's a picture of this guy who fought I don't know. I know y'all have seen it. I have to find his name, but he fought in the 20s or the 30s, and they have the screenshot of when he first started, what he looked like in his first fight, and then they showed him what he looked like his 100th fight. The man looks like a gargoyle. His whole face is completely he doesn't even look you wouldn't even tell. His friends couldn't even tell that was him, because back then that was great. I have to find it. I'll look it up. It's a crazy photo because the gloves were so much thinner, and these guys fought 4 times a week. And you didn't, and the referee, there wasn't no 10-second count. There wasn't no get up. They just let them jump up, start beating the shit out of each other. You get knocked down, the guy would stand right on top of you and just start hitting you as soon as you stood up. So I have to look that up. I'll find it. I'll find it here in a little bit. It is amazing how the transformation of just 10 or 12 years of boxing, and you're a completely different person because things were just that's why we got regulations.
It was like on the Simpsons episode where Homer becomes a boxer, but with Mo, where he started out Kid Gorgeous and just ended up Kid Mo. Yeah. And what were you saying, Des?
I'm just looking at Carter's record, and it's very indicative of that time and that era. But these guys boxed minimum 8 to 12 times a year. They was out all the time. They were so active, and a loss or back-to-back losses didn't stop them. It didn't hold them back. It just went from one fight to another fight. Like Justin just said, 1 week to the next. You know, it was very rare was they inactive for more than 3 months. These guys were, you know, you could see why boxing was such an impressive sport, and it was the whole family sat around the radio or the wireless at the time and listened to big fights.
These guys were heroes. These guys were
special
heroes.
people. Yeah, these were special people. These guys.
They were
Special
heroes
people.
because they were like they would fight 3 times a week and they would hold full-time jobs. They were like the journeymen of today, except they were like high level. They're not knocking the journeymen, but they were like world champions doing that. It's crazy.
People talk about, you know, Jackie Robinson and him breaking the color barrier in baseball and how important it was, and absolutely. But an under-discussed portion of American history was how the title reign of Joe Louis broke racial boundaries. And also Sugar Ray Robinson after that. I mean, Joe Louis, that story, and I know I fucked around with the picture on Muppets, but Joe Louis, I mean, it's such an interesting story because he is, you know, time fighting, you know, bums of the month and things like that. He had the, you know, but he had the tour when he was in the military, and they just, you know, used him for morale and stuff. But then he came back to a huge tax bill, and he spent the rest of his life having to pay off the IRS and being a greeter at a casino. And, you know, was only able to get that gig because Frank Sinatra absolutely adored him and is able to pull some strings. But what's interesting about that time, I think it was Joe Louis, or not Sugar Ray Robinson, but one of them tried to open up a car dealership. And I'm not going to say whether it was Ford, Chevy, GMC, or whatever, because I can't remember, and I don't want to you know, damage, you know, say something wrong as far as somebody's, you know, public persona or their public opinion is. But it was after the war, and they wanted to open a dealership in Chicago. And you're talking one of the most famous athletes in the country, right? And that's something a lot of them kind of did, was stuff like that to make real money. I mean, they weren't incredibly wealthy people in the grand scheme of things. They were entertainers ultimately, when entertaining was still oftentimes looked down upon. But they wouldn't give them a license to become a dealer. You know, like they put up all these barriers even after these guys were famous to make sure that they, you know, couldn't find real security in their lives and things like that. It's bullshit. There's all sorts of things in the history of this country, and the way that we treat the people that we call heroes is just complete nonsense. You know, like the story of Ira Hayes, who raised the flag on Iwo Jima, and the way that he died in the Johnny Cash song. Like, that's no bullshit, right? Anyhow, that's me off of my soapbox. So
the good thing about Joe Louis, people don't remember, is he fought till he was 137 years old. And nobody ever discusses that. You know,
such a great fucking scene. One of the best.
It's one of those things that nobody talks about, how man's longevity and his career. But you want to talk about, I'm not going to get into this, but I'll say one thing. You want to talk about how the way it used to be? There is not going to name names, but there is a bread store in Thomasville, Georgia, that still has segregated bathrooms. And we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
I have a buddy of mine. He's a black guy. He's, you know, lived in the South and, you know, around Florida and Georgia. And he, you know, he's 10 years older than me, and he's been to towns that, you know, they say sundown towns don't exist anymore. They absolutely do. And I don't know if you know what a sundown town is, Des, but those are places in the South where if you're black, you're kind of welcome, but you better not be here when the sun goes down. And that, like, still existing, you know, in the last couple decades. Like, this country's not as fucking evolved as folks like to think it is. But anyways, the story of Joe Louis and the story of the mistreatment of black people in the United States, it's all intertwined, does not end today. But let's get on to a different subject, because I go off about that all fucking day long. Let's see here. We got somebody who's going to be hopping on in the next 15 minutes or so. It'll be good to see them. Let us talk about, I'm trying to think about maybe a subject on the side. And I got to tell you guys, I think that I'm about as excited haven't been as excited for a weekend in boxing as I am for this coming Cinco de Mayo weekend, which is just going to be insane, because it's not just like, you know, having the Canelo card on, you know, Cinco de Mayo ish, whatever that Saturday is, that we've become so used to. And it's always a good time. I've been to Vegas a few times for that, obviously. But it's the fact that they're giving us 3 consecutive days of fights. We have the kickoff in New York City in Times Square with Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza Jr., then Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez, and Ryan Garcia and Raleigh Romero on there. Then you're going to have the Canelo fight from Saudi Arabia with Canelo against William Skull, Jaime Munguia and Bruno Sirachi, the rematch that is could be more interesting now that we've seen the first one. Martin Bacoli and Efe Ajagba is on there. I'm glad they're giving Bacoli that shot that they were trying to take away from him after he jumped in on short notice against Parker. And then I think this one has been canned and they're looking for a new opponent. But it was originally Badu Jack against Ryan Rizicki. He's making his regular annual or 18-month appearance. Good to see Jack in the ring. And then on Sunday, we're going to have from Las Vegas, Inoue against Cardenas, Espinosa against Edward Vasquez, Rohan Poblanco against Marcos Madonna's brother Fabian, who's a decent enough fighter. I don't think he's going to beat Polanco, but he can take a shot. And Emiliano Vargas is going to be on there against the TBA. That's like there might not be the best matches on there, but for 3 consecutive days of boxing, that's a hell of a great weekend.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And we can't ask for much more than that. It's consistent, it's constant, and there's some huge names on the roster you called out over 3 days. So yeah, I make you right. That's an exciting weekend. That's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, and I tell you, I was what's funny. I was talking to Donnie the other night, and he doesn't watch the sport very much anymore. But I was kind of describing William Skull to him, and he's worried that the Crawford fight might not happen because William Skull might have a little bit more to say than all of that. And it's tough. I don't know necessarily that Canelo doesn't get the victory in this, but I smell shades of De La Hoya against Felix Sturm in this one. I really do.
No. I mean, I think Felix Sturm was a seasoned, experienced, very good fighter, amateur and pro. A very good world champion, although he was although he had a European style and his career was built in Europe. Up at that weight, I think that's what caught De La Hoya out. I don't think you're going to catch Canelo out here. I think he's comfortable at the weight. I don't think I've seen nothing about Skull to make me suggest that he gives Canelo a shock. No, I think Canelo lights him up. I think he goes through his gears and is a handy winner. I think the example you gave there, it was about weight. I think De La Hoya, not for the first time in his career, just got weight wrong. He was too brave for his own good, and a very, very, very good fighter, a brilliant fighter, De La Hoya. He was too brave. But Canelo's got this weight thing right. And am I right in thinking the Skull fight's made at super middle? It's for all the belts, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
No, Canelo has no trouble here at all. This is routine for Canelo, and then after this we get Crawford. I'm certain of it.
So I don't know. It's he's a Cuban, Justin, who even though they say he only has one amateur fight, if you're in the amateur system in Cuba, you've been in the ring with all sorts of different people. I mean, he's a legit super middleweight. The win over Vladimir Shishkin can't be dismissed. I don't know, Justin. I worry this is a trap fight because there's always these best laid plans and some shit gets in the way of it.
Yeah, but I think Des summed it up. He's no Felix Sturm. That's a tough comparison because Sturm was good. I don't think Skull's good. And we all know how Canelo operates recently. Do you think, especially after they bombed on the Bivol decision, they have put some massive homework into William Skull? They know exactly what they're going to get with him. There's no way they take this fight and mess up that new deal if they weren't 197% sure what they were getting with Skull. I think Skull's only chance he has is maybe he's could be awkward, and maybe but Canelo has seen every single thing you can do to him in a ring. There's nothing I think Skull can even throw Canelo off for a minute that he wouldn't be sure about. I get what you're saying, and how boxing works. No, I would not be stunned if Skull didn't go 12 rounds and give Canelo kind of like how Madrimov gave Crawford a fight. I wouldn't be stunned about anything, but like this said, I just think Canelo's knows what the money's in front of him, knows what he has to do. He can't. He knows I can't go 12 rounds with William Skull in my first fight of this big deal in Saudi Arabia. I've got to take. He's going to take Skull out. I think he's going to hurt Skull. He's going to skull fuck him. It's just going to be very simple. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be that. I like this. I don't think it's going to be any drama in this one. Now, hopefully, I'm wrong. I like to be wrong. I would love for William Skull to hit him in the face and make Canelo look bad, but I just don't think that's going to happen.
Now, joining us, the man himself, Rapping Rob Kelly. Rob, I'm looking ahead to this big Cinco de Mayo weekend, 3 days in a row of fights. And what do you think is the more likely upset here? I'm going to give you 4 fights here. You have Ryan Garcia against Raleigh. You have Devin Haney against Jose Ramirez. You've got Canelo against William Skull that we were just discussing, and then you have Naoya Inoue against Ramon Cardenas. What were you thinking? If you had a $5 to lay on one of those fights where I think all of the underdogs is laying more than 5-1, well, which one of those fights are you gonna put your underdog cash on?
I don't know. Is Haney a favorite? Like Haney's the favorite, is he?
What? Say that again.
Is Haney the favorite against
Yeah,
Ramirez?
yeah, because Ramirez had that loss to Barboza and lost quite cleanly about 8 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, even at that one, like I think Haney probably Ramirez doesn't crack too viciously. Like when we have to see what Haney's going to look like coming back after being hit, regardless of whether he fucking was fighting a guy who was doping fucking head and didn't make the weight. He's shipped heavy punishment in the Haney fight. So I don't think Ramirez cracks too much. So I think Haney could probably beat him off the jab in a boring 12 rounder. That'd be the one I think is probably the closest fight out of all those. Like there's no way fucking Roddy does anything with Ryan Garcia. Ryan's been on a world tour, fucking banned world tour there for a year, hasn't he? Like took his year ban and now he's back to fight his once a year or once every 18 months as he does it. It would have been great for him if he could have served that ban silently, because the boxing public would have never known what he was up to. And he'd be fucking, his star would be ginormous. It did put a bit of a dent in him. But I think when Raleigh gets touched, I think Raleigh could make it messy for him. I think they know each other probably pretty well. He could probably hang in there for a couple of rounds, move him about a bit, fiddle him about because Garcia is wild. Like, isn't he? He hasn't got an educated build up to his work or anything. He's a still very wild fighter. Like, but I think as soon as he touches Raleigh's head, it's going to go. No chance of an upset in the Inoue fight. And I think if they want to get a result against Canelo, you're going to have to fucking knock him out twice, and then you might get a draw. But if it's anywhere close, if it's on the cards, he's not getting it. We've seen that recently, haven't we, with Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. And Canelo's always been the house fighter. And anytime there's been a remote chance to keep him champion or give him the nod, whether it's Lara, whether it was Golovkin, trying to think who else ran him close. He's got the decision. Bivol proved that you could get a points win against him, but Bivol definitively beat him, and he was so much bigger.
Bivol had to win 9 or 10 rounds to get 7. It was a hell of an uphill effort.
Yeah, exactly. So if you see Billy Skull coming out there and winning a 10-2 fight and getting the decision, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it winning 10 rounds in the first place. But even if you say on the side of he gets 7 rounds, he's not going to get him on the cards. Like, so I still think Canelo will deal with him pretty easily. I think he'll handle Skull. But it never pans out the way you think, especially when you have these down the line fights. You know, these kind of.
Well, that's where I'm at. So in these fights I just told you about, Rob, you need Haney and Garcia to win to make their rematch happen for sure, and you need Canelo to beat Skull to
get the Crawford fight.
Yeah, and I'm just, the way that I know boxing, I'm like, one of these dominoes has to fall. Like, for something not to happen.
Yeah, it never. We were. How many times have we been waiting out this? We've been waiting it out like for years with Fury and Joshua. Somebody won't uphold their end of the bargain, and it'll all fold. Like, not that I think Bud is the fight that the public really want to see, Bud and Canelo, but they're making it anyway. I tell you what, here's a contentious point. I think Boots Ennis has a better chance of beating Canelo than Terence Crawford.
That's an
because I just think
interesting
he's so big, isn't he? Like he's such a big guy. Like he's not going to stick around at 47 anyway.
What do you think of his win over Stanionis while you're on that?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think guys straight up and down, no special effects. If you come to Boots Ennis like that, even if Stanionis was good off the jab, he was a little bit kind of shoulder behind his chin, started straight trying to land the jab, and he could do nothing with Ennis. Like all angles, all power, whipping in shots, good selection, went to the body, really fucking hard up to the body, and then just took him out. Like, I think he's probably came at the wrong time for the welterweight division. He could have been the man, but you like to see a guy with his talent eventually fulfill his star. And I think if he could possibly put himself in the argument for a super fight with somebody at a catch weight somewhere down the line, because I think he can grow into a couple of weights. Like,
I think him and Virgil Ortiz, if both of them get another good W under their belts, and I think that even as early as next year, I think a fight between Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, I think that captures the public and is probably a pay-per-view.
I think Boots will chase Bud for the while Bud remains active. Like, even though Bud's made his path clear to retirement, like with the Canelo fight. And he's a bit of a boogeyman for Bud, like, isn't he? I think maybe just at his age, like, I would like to see the two of them prime for prime. I think it probably would have been a better fight between them two than the Spence and Crawford fight. And I'm Crawford's number one fucking fan, by the way. I'm not saying that lightly, but I just think Boots younger, fresher, bigger. He probably gives Canelo a better run for his money. Not that that fight's going to happen, but I was extremely impressed with him, and I think it'd be best for Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan that he moves north, because it'd be an extremely tough prospect to overcome to get a win over Boots Ennis. Now he still has lots of stuff to do in the game. His record's still a little bit thin. I don't know if that's necessarily his own fault or not. I don't know if it's just the landscape now, but 54 has a lot of interesting fights, and I think he could reign there for a while if he wants to. I'd like to see him get Madrimov and maybe try to put the stoppage on Madrimov, like, make a bit of a statement. But it's hard not to fucking be like, just watch him and like, like, we know he hasn't got the appeal even across the insiders of boxing. Everyone knows how good he is, but he doesn't seem to have that kind of expectation about it, or that surrounds his fights, or that kind of sense of anticipation. But when you're watching him, you're like, fuck, like it's like he was playing a different sport against Stanionis. Like he was playing a computer game, like 3 levels above. Stanionis could do nothing with him. Like, he was trying to walk him down, couldn't put a dent in him, couldn't stop him, couldn't slow him, and nothing was working. Now, he didn't make too many adjustments. I don't think Stanionis is that type of fighter. Maybe against a high level 4D chess player or whatever, he might come unstuck. But you're going to have to be, put it this way, I think you're going to have to be a fucking hell of a fighter. No tribute to Floyd Mayweather intended there. I think you're going to have to be a hell of a fighter to do something with your own Ennis.
Yeah, and and if he can get through the 154-pound division, which is just stacked to the brim, I mean, that's a statement. Like, if you go in and you unify this 154-pound division, like, you're a true top quality fighter, considering who you would have to go through to make that happen, and even just the contenders who you might have to defend against as well. But Justin, back to Des, my aforementioned 2 planned cards. How can they fall apart? If you got Raleigh, you got Ramirez, you got William Skull, and you got Ramon Cardenas. Let's also throw that one in there too. Who are you putting your underdog money on?
I can't see any of them upsetting them big names. I really can't. I don't think Ramirez gets anywhere near Dev. I don't think Rowley lands a glove on Garcia. And I think Skull's going to be out of his depth. I know that's not the answer you want, but I can't find an argument for any of them guys. Who's the other one you mentioned, mate? What was the other fight you mentioned?
Ramon Cardenas against Naoya Inoue.
No,
I know, right? That one's a little bit tough.
I can't find an argument for any of them guys to win. I think, look, we've done this, haven't we? You know, I think Skull's been brought in to make Canelo look good, and Canelo's not got to find his feet at that weight. He's the undisputed champion at that weight. So to go back to the Oscar Stern comparison, Canelo's got no bedding in process to be had here at super middle. He's the governor at super middle. So I expect him to put on a masterclass. I think he's going to put on a clinic against Skull, and I don't think Skull's been anywhere near this type of fighter or this type of event. I expect him to get well lit up. I can't make an argument for Ramirez, because the best Ramirez was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and this version of Ramirez that got well beat by Barbosa doesn't get anywhere near Devin Haney. And Rowley, I'll go on, and I'm going to go with Rowley because you just don't know what you're going to get with Rowley. You don't know what you're going to get with Ryan Garcia. So go on. I've just kind of, by process of elimination, I'm going to say the question you've asked me, which is a hard question, and I'm not comfortable with the answer, but I'm going to say maybe Rowley, just because you've got two crackerjacks and you don't know what you're going to get from either of them.
Well, and it's and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to steel man these arguments as best as I can, as far as is who you might want to take. Ramirez is, like, I guess, a little bit more of a difficult one, just because you're kind of wondering what his where he's at in his career. I mean, he went 11 with Comey. I mean, he took him out, but Comey has been getting blasted by some guys. He went 12 with Barthélemy, but Barthélemy can make everybody look bad. The loss to Taylor, he sans those knockdowns. I mean, because those were what separated the fight. There's a chance there, and he's not one of these small guys. I think that Devin Haney is used to dealing with, where he clearly needs more than a jab to potentially do it. He's not unfamiliar to the bright lights, and I think at the end of the day he'll be willing to punch with Haney. But that's probably the most difficult one for me to steel man. Cardenas against Inoue. The only thing that I would say is this is a full-fledged 122-pound fighter. He's rough, he's rugged, and it's going to be a lot harder to back this guy up than it has been for some of the other guys that Inoue has been fighting. I understand where people are coming from, but you have to even remember when he did get dropped by Luis Neri was fighting down at bantamweight too. So this is a larger man that he's dealing with. He's away from home. He's in Vegas. I think it's an easier argument for me to make that maybe this fight goes the over, if not the distance could be interesting. But Cardenas I wouldn't count him out entirely. But you're talking pound for pound there. And then with Skull, Cuban guy operating out of Germany, went over Vladimir Shishkin. He's got a good jab, which is something that Bivol used to trouble the ever-living get out of Canelo. He's obviously hungry. He was waiting for these fights, and it's just potentially right place at right time. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia, I guess, not necessarily neutral territory. They probably got to lean on a favorite there, but it's far more neutral than him coming over here with all the Mexican crowd joining in. And as far as Raleigh and Ryan Garcia, I would say the argument I have to make again is that Tank said that Raleigh's the hardest puncher he's been in with, and that sticks with me. And if you look at Ryan Garcia and the dumb shit that he does in the ring and the arrogance about the guy, that's always hanging out there. You wonder how serious he's taking this, knowing, Raleigh hasn't looked great at all. He was fucking outright concussed against Isaac Cruz. But I don't know. Justin, I've steel manned all those arguments. Where would you put a fiver on those underdogs?
I mean, I just go with Raleigh for what you just said. And Inoue is only going to lose if he decides to keep going up too far on the weight. I think that's the only way he'll lose. If he just gets if he goes too high, is the only way he'll lose. And that could easily happen if he just keeps going, because he's got to be at his ceiling or almost there as far as how high he can go. So that's the only way he will lose. And I'm not going to try to go down this hole, but you mentioned Taylor. Talk about a career that just completely collapsed after he beat Ramirez. I mean, the guy with how many? Like 15 kids, and like we've never seen him again. Not Taylor. The guy who beat Ramirez. I got confused on that. You remember the guy that beat Ramirez? The guy from Dallas, Hooker.
Yeah, Maurice Hooker. No, didn't Ramirez beat Hooker?
I thought Hooker beat Ramirez.
No,
Maybe
Ramirez
I'm wrong.
beat Hooker. I think it was supposed to be a really competitive fight. The only people that Ramirez has lost to are Barboza and Taylor.
Okay, that just shows that I don't really pay attention to Jose Ramirez's career, but he's not going to beat Haney. And yeah, so Raleigh for everything you just said. That's all I'm going to add. Because Garcia, it's been a year. Who the hell knows how he's going to show up and what he's going to do and how he's going to act, and you really don't know. With Raleigh, you know what you're going to get. He's going to swing as hard as he can, and he's going to look stupid. So, I mean, he can easily land one because you don't know what Garcia is going to look like. So,
yeah, and sometimes just getting your confidence, not necessarily your confidence knocked out of you. In the case of Raleigh, maybe like getting the humility beat into you can sometimes be a good thing for a guy, and because you just gotta leave the ego behind, not to get too Eastern, religion kind of shit, but and things might turn out better for him. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with their man there, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that weekend. There's some stuff going on. There's a little DAZN card that's got some decent talent coming up on there. That's going to be on the I think this is going to be on Friday. Going to have Kevin Brown, who's definitely an interesting Cuban dude to watch against Estuary Suero over 10 rounds. Gergen Hovhannisyan is going to be in there against the fat lard of a man that boxes called DeJuan Calloway. I think I'm thinking of the right guy. Lanier Perro, he is an interesting heavyweight to be taken a look at, is against Detralius Webster. So that is a card going on there. DAZN from Florida on Friday. Then we're going to have Gabriela.
I'm not trying to interrupt you. I mean, interrupt
You're
you,
fine.
but I don't believe the guy from Cuba's birth name was Kevin Brown.
Possibly not. Kevin Haler Brown, maybe not. But
I'm going to let him say he wasn't born Kevin Brown.
But you might have to do a lot of research to figure this out.
I might have to.
There was a fair number of Black Panthers who escaped to Cuba in the 60s and 70s.
Well, I'm not going to do that's pretty deep research. I'm just saying, from the looks of it, not many people are going to think he's from Cuba if your name's Kevin Brown. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. So, yeah, so we get to watch that, and maybe we'll find out the origin of the name Kevin Brown on Friday night. Then in California, going to have Gabriela Fundora spending all of her flyweight women's bouts against the undefeated Marilyn Badillo. Definitely worth your time to check that out. She's been knocking gals out with that nice straight left hand. And then Charles Conwell is going to be on that card. He's still just waiting for his shot. Junior middleweight taking on Jorge Garcia Perez. That's going to be over 12 rounds. So that's nice. They're getting a test for him that's actually at over the 12-round title distance. And then I think this is one to discuss because there's a lot more going on here. We got from Sheffield. We'll bring this up from the bottom. I don't know if anything has changed around here. But, Des, we got Giorgio Vicioli against Kane Baker. Josh Padley coming back against TBA. Josh Warrington taking Asad Asif Khan over 10 rounds or less. Khan just gave Josh or Mick Conlon a hell of a rough time. Ishmael Davis taking on Ryan Kelly over 12 rounds. Main event, Dalton Smith against Canadian Matthew Germain over 12 rounds. I'm going to kick it off with this, though, Des. I fucking hate when people get involved in pageantry and all this bullshit, like with laying your gloves in the ring, like you're done and retiring, and then 6 months later you're back in. Like I hate this fucking bullshit. You're in a fucking man's sport. Don't try this poetic nonsense. It just makes me hate him more. I already didn't like the headbutting son of a bitch, and now I have one more reason to not like the fucking guy.
You know that I was talking about this today with a friend of mine, Terry, and he was he was talking about the Carl Froch thing, and we see not just in boxers, we see ex footballers and go on to get onto. They've had a wonderful career. They've earned loads of money. They must have loads of options, but they choose to go on to they work for a broadcaster, and then they're given a script. Okay, and the reason we came to that. Well, why would a independent person who's financially secure, who's had this fantastic career, got this wonderful legacy, why would they go and prostitute themselves and almost be puppets for a broadcaster? And we come to the conclusion that it's out of fear. It's out of fear of not having nothing to do, not having no direction, not being recognised in the street anymore, not being wanted, not being needed. I've actually seen fighters walk in the gym and their trainer's too busy to talk to them. I've actually seen fighters that had wonderful careers come into the gym and the young fighters don't really know much about them and ain't really that interested. And I think a lot of fighters, and I say fighters specifically because we know how hard boxing is and how little boxing can give. I think fighters really need to prepare for a life after boxing. And that brings me back to the question you've asked me. Why did Josh Taylor do that, say, 6 to 8 months ago? Did he have a moment in time? Was he feeling a bit precious or entitled? Did he want to have a bit of an attention moment? I just think at that time he felt, I've done enough. And this is where it gets important. He's had 3 months away from boxing and the money's probably stopped coming in. And if it ain't coming in, it's going out. And you've looked at, well, we've had a holiday because I normally have a holiday after I fight. And, I bought myself a new pair of shoes and we've upgraded the car and the TV subscription needs to be paid and the energy bills have been so high. And this house I bought when money was coming in, I've got to pay for it somehow. And all of a sudden you think, what else can I do? And that's a big part of this. It goes into the Tony Bellew thing. You'll never see me again. And then after about 8 months, he realizes if I keep living like this, I'm going to be skint in 10 years. So they go back to work. And the way you get work in boxing is pretty much the same in all sports. You have to keep putting yourself out there. It's that Harry Redknapp thing. He loves his wife, he loves his house, he loves his dog, but he's never there. He's always out on the road working. And that's because you have to keep promoting yourself. You have to keep putting yourself out there. And if you're not doing that, what do you do? And I think Josh has probably thought, I might not have the face or the voice or the personality for TV, and the offers ain't rolling in because there's hundreds of ex-fighters. So I've got to go and do something I know I can do. And that's get back in the gym and get out. And that's probably the answer to the question. Not enough fighters prepare for a life after boxing. It's as simple as that, mate.
Yeah, it's a shame because with a little bit of simple financial planning, I mean, you can, if you got $1 million in the bank, I know not a lot of people can say that, but you've had the paydays he's had, you can turn over enough money year to year on freaking very, very safe investments that you live a normal quality of life. Fine.
The problem you've got there, Matty, is you're absolutely right. But this country is very, very expensive. The cost of living has gone through the roof. No generation in this country has ever put in, it's never been so expensive to fill your car up. It's never been so expensive to turn your gas cooker on. It's never been so expensive to heat your house. It's never been so expensive to go on holiday, to get on the plane. Like, they're catching you every which way they can. And I just think boxers are not geared up for that. Like, boxers live a very, very insular life. They're in this bubble for a very young age. And forget what you might think of them. And I know we see them up in the ring and they're fit and they're like skinned rabbits and they're brave. But a lot of them, you've only got to read the Cole Frampton book. A lot of them don't know their arse from their elbow. No disrespect. But they're there to be had over. They're there to be exploited. They're there to be taken advantage of. And
you're not from a place of like privilege and educated people. If you at a young age decide you're gonna like just get in a ring and get punched in the head, it's not like a common option for people of privilege, right? Like it's
can I come back at you there?
Sure.
So let's just say you're not let's just say you're not from a privileged background. Let's just say you left school, you've done a bit of college, You then worked on a building site, and then from a building site you worked in the office. Then you got yourself a role or something you really enjoyed. Then you was passionate, and then you saved money. You got yourself a mortgage. You've bought a few motors. You've had a few holidays. But that's what you call the journey of life. That's your pathway. And when you get to the age of 35, you've learned all the tricks. You know how to do it. But a lot of these boxers, a lot of these sports people have been helicoptered. They get picked up at the age of 17 and dropped off at the age of 35, and they've not learned the fundamentals of life in between.
They're very easy to exploit. They're very easy to exploit. They have no concept of the inner workings of the deals, who gets paid, who gets this cut, that cut.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that stuff is so convoluted in favor of the house that even people with a legal degree sometimes have trouble finding their way through the bullshit in the way that it's structured.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like, let's talk about Tony Bellew just for a moment, right? He made that point. Once I'm done, because he got the I can't remember what way it come around. Was it Usyk first, then Bellew, or was it Hay? He had 2 Hay fights, then Usyk fight, didn't he? So yeah. Tony Bellew's gone through his
Usyk
career.
retired him, yeah. Usyk was the end of it, wasn't it?
So Tony Bellew's gone through his career, Rob, and he's had, well, you know, I'm paying my promoter, I'm paying my manager, I'm paying my mortgage, I'm paying the tax man, and eventually, with all them world title fights and the pay-per-views, he's probably think, I'm doing all right. Then he got the David Haye fight, and then as luck would have it, he got another David Haye fight. Bang! He can't believe his luck. He's never seen money like it. And then he got the Usyk fight, and then he walks away and he thinks, I've never seen money like this in my life. But after 12 months, when you've bought a new house and the stamp duty and a few new motors and a few new holidays and a couple of watches, his and hers, you bought a couple of new suits, you're realising, I've done my financial forecast here. If what I've spent in the last year continues, I'm not going to have nothing left in 10 years' time. And then someone like Eddie Earn might ring him up and say, look, why don't we pick you up, get a train down to Marylebone, we'll put you in a hotel, we'll feed you a water here, and you can work on DAZN for a couple of nights, and then we'll send you home, and we'll pay you for it, and we've got 2 of these a month. All of a sudden, you're thinking, now that's what I do. I've got to earn money.
All of a sudden, he's on the SAS show. He has a book coming out. He has
you
a fucking
can't say
podcast
no, Rob.
out.
You know what I mean? And you think, I can't say no to this.
I don't mind that, honestly. I
really
hear you.
don't.
Like, I don't mind it at all.
Because if these guys ain't earning it, they're spending it. And
there's a lot of parallels between. There's a lot of parallels between like the life of an elite boxer and an elite recording artist. Like, but I remember years ago, like Damon Dash saying, like, you know, the dream used to be like before streaming and everything, like you get signed and you get your advance. What you didn't know was an advance is just that. Like, it's what the record label will advance you.
It's an advance
before they take it back off you. For the rest of your life. So you set up into a slave contract. That favors obviously only the label. And the kids don't know this. Most of them don't even have a lawyer before they sign on a dotted line. But in the States, you get $100,000 advance. You got to pay $50,000 to the tax man.
Yeah,
and you got to look fucking the part for your videos. You got to fucking pay for the videos. You got to pay for the producers. You got to pay for the studio time. You got to pay for your outfits. The only way you're making that money back is getting on the road. And you better hope you have a fucking hit, by the way, that you're able to get on the road.
And guess what? If you fucking if you either didn't write the song or if you have to share songwriting credits with a good handful of other people, you're not making any real fucking money unless you were
a penny on the pound. Yeah, that's right. A penny on the pound. Correct.
Yeah, you're making fucking what 10 cents off the CD as it used to be that were getting sold for 15, 16 quid a pop. Now when the streaming thing came in, the labels even found another way to like say, fuck it, we won't do advances anymore. What we do now is 360s. So we give you some bread up front, but we'll take a percentage of your merch and your tour as well. And lots of big artists like Megan Thee Stallion, all those signed those deals when they got in the game. So I completely understand why boxers go broke, because you know, they're not fucking masterminds. Like, a lot of them, like, it's fucking, they don't even have a good lawyer a lot of the time. Like, I think if you have a good lawyer, a good accountant, like some of the footballers, it's a little bit different. They might have a good agent. They might be a little bit more protected, and there's more kind of, hierarchy and a structure in there to protect them in terms of elite athletes. But boxers, man, you're on your fucking own, and
And
like
it's
a
the
shark,
Wild West out there. It's a Wild
shark
West out there
tank.
for boxers. And
Somebody's ready to
and
take you up the road all the time, like.
Justin,
and-
what were you saying?
Oh,
Justin,
well,
I
wants
was
to get in
no,
there.
I was
Yeah,
just saying,
for a
listen,
second.
I was just thinking that, boxing, you talk about Wild West and they don't have all the stuff. Like over here, the NBA, the NFL, they're actually like hiring consultants to work with these guys so they don't fuck up.
The players
Yeah.
unions do good work for those people.
Yeah, boxing.
Yeah, they do.
I think
Yeah.
Teddy Atlas. This goes back to the old Teddy Atlas from 30 years ago. Boxing. He said boxing needs a union to help these guys. He's not that off. He's not that far off because they need help. I mean, they need. They don't. You give a guy who's never had anything, and then you give them all this money, they're going to blow it. That's like 9 out of 10 times they're going to have a hard time getting by. And I think, boxers are just kind of, once they're done with their career, once the use is done out of them, they better hope they had somebody helping them with all that money because, like they said, they're done. There's not going to be anybody there to hold your hand because once we get everything we want out of somebody, that's it. They have no need for them anymore. So I can see why Warrington.
Reminds me of that scene out of Entourage. Remember where Vince bought the fucking new Bentley and the accountant called him. He's like, "You lease those. You can fucking give them back."
That's it's exactly right. The stuff they don't. There's a guy. I'm not going to get into this. His name is Antoine Walker. He made $34 million in his NBA career. He's homeless right now, and that's why That's why over here they're helping these kids. Boxing still doesn't. Except Al Heyman. I think Al Heyman did a really good job of. Didn't he help these guys invest? And I think Al Heyman tried to help these guys put their money and make it work for them. So I think he did actually. The one good thing Al Heyman did do was I think he helped. I think he tried to help us.
Well,
that's what
let's hope
everybody
so.
says.
Because the last time I saw one of the Charlos, he was sitting on a throne in his house. So let's hope he has a plan B. He hasn't been in the ring in fucking 2 years.
Well,
let's hope so.
Rob,
they share a house, the Charlos.
Rob, have you looked into the market value of a
Jesus.
throne these days? I mean, how do you know it wasn't a good investment to own a throne?
The joke's on me there.
The value of thrones has gone through the roof. Apparently, you're not watching the markets. But it's if there's any young fighters that listen to us who have a chance of making money, here's the only advice I could give you that makes sense. What your goal needs to be is to own your home. Okay. When you make enough money and you're in a position where you'll make enough cash to take care of your mortgage payments and you've saved some money, put some money down, buy your first house. And then if you get to a point where you have made a big enough purse and you've hit that point where you can pay off a house, you should pay off your house. Because guess what? If for some reason everything terrible happens that you can imagine this side of, becoming a fucking invalid from injuries in the ring, you can get a job as a regular guy if you own your house outright and you pay your property taxes and your upkeep. And that's how you manage yourself. Like you can just have a regular job and be a regular Joe and take care of your shit. Worst case scenario, if you own your house outright, that's the best damn advice. And if you're one of those people that keeps making money beyond owning your first house, you buy more houses and you buy commercial real estate and you invest in property. Because guess what? People always have fucking businesses or people always need places to live. And if you can give them that opportunity, you'll always be able to make money. Property is the key to prosperity.
What have I walked into the Vanguard Asylum or something here?
We're giving young fighters good advice, Steve.
Financial asylum, fucking get with the times here. Fucking, we're going to be telling all the lads how to fucking start crypto coins next week.
No, that's terrible fucking advice. It's like goddamn tulips in Holland, right? Fuck that. It's a terrible fucking idea. Anyhow. So back to that Warrington card, which is how we ended up there. And it all started with me saying I hate Josh Warrington, and I have more reasons now than ever. But anyhow, going back.
Oh, it's Josh Warrington. What did Warrington ever do on you?
He fucking headbutts people, and then he did that bitch shit of leaving his gloves in the ring like he was retiring, and now he's back. It's all just a bunch of poetic homo shit. I don't like it. Anyhow, let's go here. Let's go on. Let's hit that. Let's see here. What one were we talking? Yeah. So other fights on that card: Ishmael Davis against Brian Kelly. Steve Wellington is joining us for the first time in about a month here. This fight is pretty damn decent as far as undercard fights go. I venture even to say this might be more competitive than the main event, Steve.
Sorry, which fight are you referring to? I'm trying desperately to upload all these Bell Weeks in the background. Yeah, it keeps telling me I've got too many assets or something, which is the first time I've heard that.
Keep deleting shit. None of it matters.
Yeah, sorry.
So, you go ahead.
Come back to me.
Yeah, Justin, same question your way.
I mean, Kelly, I don't know. I think it is better than the main event because Kelly, you don't know what he's going to bring, but I think Davis might win. I think I would lean Davis because Kelly he's the definition of overhyped and not what they were building him to be. So I kind of hope Davis wins.
Des, where's your leanings on this fight?
So I can't find that. So are you saying that Ryan Kelly's got Ishmael Davis?
Yeah, that's at least what's on the ESPN schedule.
Nah, that fight's not taking place anymore. Davis pulled out. I think he's fighting Kevin Ajako now.
Yeah, I think he is.
Oh,
You're
Jesus, fuck.
He is, yeah.
And we just saw Jarko suck fucking balls the last time.
Kelly's going to.
Took it on a week's notice, in fairness to him, though, didn't he?
Yeah, Kelly's going to win now.
Is Kelly fighting the Irish kid?
He's going
to win.
Kelly's going to
win.
Yeah, I think Jarko beats Kelly. Kelly's not been successful at a domestic level, so I think.
Did y'all watch it? Did y'all watch Jarko's last fight? He was awful.
He just went to hell and back with a 3-1 fighter.
Yeah. He was awful his last fight.
He needs to be active, Donny. He's fucking He hasn't
Kelly
got much
might
pop,
actually
but he's a highly skilled guy.
Yeah, like Matt said, he went to war with that 3-1 guy. Kelly, I think he might be more live than y'all think because the Jarko looked awful.
Oh, Kelly's definitely live. He's a good fighter, but I just think Ajako will get on the jab and get it done. But this is make or break, as Rob says, for Ajako. Sorry, I know I'm supposed to be doing other jobs here, but Ajako needs to. This is his chance now. Rob's right, man. Because he's been with every trainer under the sun, all these different promoters. He's got to do this. This is his chance.
That's a huge red flag, isn't it? When you get guys trainer hopping and promoter hopping, he obviously has talent, but there's something not quite. He's not quite the full package, but he's a talented guy on his day. He just doesn't crack too much. So it could be a boring enough fucking decision. But he's taking on a week's notice, so fucking fair play to him.
Yeah, it's interesting. You wonder who's more prepared on this one. I mean, Jarko was in the ring just 4 weeks ago again against a guy who was supposed to just walk over, and he ended up having to go more rounds. Kelly was obviously at some point training for Davis if it existed on his schedule somewhere. I'm leaning Kelly on this one. I'm going to check the odds on this one for kicks. So obviously bet Jarko because I'm going to doom Kelly, but I don't know. I might be bad luck for people named with the last name Kelly. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Or Kelly's, you're terrible for them, Ryan Kelly. Yeah, I think Ajako probably has enough in the armory to close out a boring enough win. I think he's training for a different style as well. Jako's a different proposition than Ishmael Davis. Technical, but like I said, there's red flags there. I don't know, is he hiding glass or is there an attitude problem somewhere? I don't know, or is he just these guys are kind of, I don't know, they're highly touted at the start and it just doesn't quite work out for them. So it's kind of a crossroads fight for him. Like Steve says, a chance now. As if he doesn't win here, where does he go? Do you know that way?
Yeah, you kind of end up in no man's land, it's not like you're going to go back competing for area titles or anything like that, right? Although that is the dream of Eamon Khan. Eamon, tell us about your dreams of competing for an area title one day.
I've never, ever had a dream of competing for an area title. I feel like a lot of people in the business do kind of have this fantasy of wanting to be a pro fighter and things like that, but I've never been one for that. I quite like staying outside the ropes as opposed to being
Yeah,
inside.
Ames, do you remember Art
Well,
Man
when a
off
7-year-old is
Twitter?
fucking beating you up, you don't have much fucking hope. I don't think. You fucking-
This kid's age gets lower and lower, doesn't it?
Art Man used to say he could win an area title or a Commonwealth title or something, and then he used to show shots of himself on the bar games. So there's hope for you yet.
I think if he was Art Man or Art Woman, he wouldn't have a cat in hell's chance of winning an area title.
Whose bag work was better, Smitho's or fucking Artman's? I'd say Smitho beat the shit out of Artman, would you? Big puncher, Smitho.
Yeah.
Well, my friend was debating here. I'm going to throw a little... I know you guys are having this intellectual conversation, but let me throw something stupid into the mix. At what age do you think you could have beaten Mike Tyson?
I don't know that he has reached that age yet.
Yeah, I was just going to
feel
say,
like I have
I'll
the
let you know when he
advantage.
gets there.
Yeah, this exists somewhere on a graph, and you know, I might be declining in capabilities, but he's declining faster. I imagine by the point in time he hit 65, I think I might have a fighting chance against Tyson.
Can we beat him up as a kid? Like the 5 or 6-year-old version of Tyson?
Oh shit! I didn't even consider that as a possibility.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking at that age.
Is an assault on a minor an option?
You know, he had a tough upbringing, so he might not be mentally ready for a fight. Kindergarten, first grade. I think.
There's
I think I can get him.
footage of him at 15. He looks scary enough. Like I'd say, fucking still him with a good chance if he's 7, especially against Ames.
I would walk up and I would fucking boot a 3-year-old Tyson in the head like I was David Beckham on an open net.
Oh, man, I've been working on the jabs and the parries.
Bend it like Matty.
And the 1, 2, 3 slip, right hand, backhand, left hook. You know, working on all these combinations, Rob.
Ames, we've gone from Joe Lewis in the civil rights movement. We've gone from Reuben Carter to now. What age could you beat Mike Tyson at? You know, like the conversation has fallen off a cliff at this pod. It really.
But I don't think Ames. Like, have you ever listened to this show? I know you're having this intellectual conversation. Fucking where? Fuck's sake.
Investment funds to battering toddlers here, Matty. Come on now.
Smart investments.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get somebody who works for a very large corporation to bludgeon your child while they're on the clock, that's the kind of lawsuit that would set you up for life. I'm just saying, like, the bludgeoning of children doesn't necessarily have to be a net negative on your life at the end of the day. It might just be
Shut
a
up before I
temporary
get Ryan Garcia
inconvenience.
after you. I'm going to tell Ryan Garcia you're saying all this.
He
gave up saving the children pretty quickly, didn't he? He wanted to get all his kids out of Bohemian Grove and to run up to the Haney fight. And there hasn't been a mention of it since. Like he's not doing any of his good work.
Yeah, he probably found out who really runs Bohemian Grove. And
So we got to get Ryan Garcia, Bacoli, and Bellew together if we want to talk about how the children are having it rough.
And you got to think like
that's the think tank when it comes to that.
You got to think Froch too, because if you're leaning into the flat Earth kind of stuff, that kind of leans itself into other things. I bet Froch could play along with this quite well too. Give the Cobra his due. Anyhow, where were we?
What about Ennis? Do you want me to have my say on that?
Sure. Why don't you and Ames talk about that real quick? Because neither of you have said anything about that. Joining us later on in the show, and then we'll get to the main event of this card.
What time do you call this, lads?
We're clearly not running in any particular order here.
Spoken by a man when it's 5:00 in the afternoon. There, Matty.
Justin's trying to fucking get comfortable in his hotel room and get a nap, but here we are. No.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I'm sure you guys have said most of this stuff already, but I just thought the size difference was so apparent in that first 30 seconds or so. And beforehand, a wiser man than me said that Boots was going to blast Stanionis away in like 5 to 8 rounds, he said, which was very specific and very accurate as it turned out. I thought Stanionis would last the distance. I thought he would have it rough early on and he would manage to get it into the second half of the fight. And there, things might get interesting. But he was just so small. Ennis was moving around him, battering that body. He loves to throw the uppercut against those kind of straight-up Eastern European type of fighters. Stanionis has a really good jab. His footwork, he just couldn't get in quick enough. And when he did, he landed shots. You know, Ennis can be hit, but he just couldn't punch hard enough. And as I said, it just comes down to that size differential, really. And Ennis, we've seen him in the week, and he's been like this a few fight camps now. How he's making 147, I'm not sure. He looks skeletal during the week, and it can't be healthy for him. So 2 fights, Brian Norman Jr., Mario Barrios, isn't it, the other champion? Let's get the division undisputed, unified completely as best we can, and then he can move up to fight Brian Norman, sorry, and Barrios, and then he can move up to fight Virgil Ortiz, which I think will be a really good fight. They kind of feel like they've been on a bit of a collision course, the two of them. But I was always high on Boots. I've said before, I don't think he's a great talker. He tries to be charismatic, but I think his banter's a bit shit sometimes, to be honest. And his old man is the most miserable man in boxing. I mean, he makes Frank Warren look like flipping Coco the Clown. But you know what? They got this spot on. He needed this performance after the Karen second fight. And Avanesian, he did what he had to do against Avanesian. Cody Crowley would have been a better opponent. But this is what he needed, this standout, breakout performance. Eddie's his hype man. He can do all the talking for him. And this is the Boots that I wanted to see. And Stanionis, I was surprised they pulled him out, actually. I thought they might tell him to go out swinging in that 7th round, but Samodio knew what was happening. So anyway, on to you, Ames. That's all I've got to say. Sorry.
He might have pulled himself off or out there, Steve. I think.
Did he in the end? Right, yeah, I wonder.
It looked like that way to me, because it looked like he was waiting for the ref to say, "I want to carry on," and then there was only like a couple of seconds left in the round, because he didn't even, the way a lot of fighters, like, they put their hands over, earmuffs, like, after getting knocked down. He was just there, hand by the waist, like, wave this fucking thing off, will you? Like,
right.
So I don't know if he was able to come out, like, the body shot.
No, that's fair. That's fair enough. Yeah, no, I didn't watch it back, Rob. I just saw it there and then, so that kind of makes sense.
That's just me.
Yeah.
My fucking perception of it, like, but.
No, I agree with you, Rob. He kind of like looked at him and then kind of like slowly creeped towards the corner, like maybe he would like walk over to him and say, "You know what, you're done." I agree with you. I kind of noticed that too.
Inactivity is the killer. I know that the Virgil Ortiz thing kept it going for years. I think Ortiz pulled out twice, Stanionis pulled out once. That didn't help him at all. But against Gabriel Maestre, who apparently punches really, really hard, I thought, well, he got through 12 rounds and he looked pretty good against Maestre, who's obviously not Boots' level. We all know that. But I thought the gas tank's going to be there. The engine's going to be there. He will keep pitching for 12 rounds. But obviously, Boots was just a different animal. And I think that, again, you can't make excuses because you just get against the better man. He pulled himself out, as we're talking about. But I think inactivity kills, man. And he's been far too inactive. Sorry, go ahead, Ames.
No, to be honest with you, I've got nothing more to add. I barely even saw much of the fight. I tried to stay up for it, and best laid plans, fell asleep, woke up, saw some sketchy enough highlights, and you guys have pretty much summed up as good as I could, so crack on.
All right. Very short there.
Maybe we see that Conor Ben fight in the future. Conor Ben was clamoring for with Boots Ennis. Fuck's sake.
So on the main event here, I'm actually going to kick off with Justin, because Justin's watched enough of these Canadian cards to have seen Matthew Germain. What do you think the kind of troubles he could give Dalton Smith, or do you think he might be tailor-made for the occasion as they just keep looking for a meaningful fight for Smith?
I think he'll give him some rounds, but Smith shouldn't have a ton of problems especially if they think he is what he is. But Germain's decent. I think it's not like a walkover fight. He's going to give him some trouble, and it's a good learning fight. But he should get through Germain. I don't know if he'll knock him out, but he should get through him. I don't think it's going to be an overly difficult fight for him. But I mean, you never know. I mean, we haven't seen Dalton Smith really tested, so you never know. I don't think Germain's that guy to really give him the big test. But hell, boxing's weird. Nothing will be surprised, but I think I don't know if he'll knock him out early, but I think he'll stop him late.
Yeah, Dalton Smith is kind of a guy who's lacking a signature win or a clear rival that people just insist on who he gets in the ring with. I mean, I guess Azim to some stretch, but what are some fights, if he gets through this one, like what are some fights you would like to see Smith in before the end of this year where you wouldn't feel like this is actually a wasted year in his career? Because he's just kind of seems to be, just running in place right now.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of roadblocks put up for Dalton for various circumstances. He should have kicked on after the Zepeda, and I like that Zepeda fight. I think he made alterations, he made some adjustments. He showed a little bit of versatility in that fight, and I like the way he was so proactive and got rid of Zepeda before Zepeda started to believe in himself. But they've just not kicked on. And if you look down his record, there isn't a standout win, and you wonder where that win's going to come from. And he's 28, 29 years of age. I'm not quite sure if he's a big ticket seller. I'm not quite sure if they're ever going to get the Adam Azim fight because they've got their own pathway and they've got a huge advantage in the fact that Adam Azim's so young. He's not in any rush. I actually think they're going to put him in with Jack Cattrall. I think that makes perfect sense for Eddie. If he can somehow get a Cattrall and Dalton Smith fight at the Co-op in Manchester, I think that sells. And I think that gives Jack a pathway back, and it gives Dalton an opportunity to prove that he's at world level, to a level. None of these guys go anywhere near Lopez, Haney, Matise, and Barbosa jabbed Cattrall a few months back. So I'm not quite sure what they do or where they go. Perhaps they could bring over a Liam Parrow for a Dalton Smith. That would be entertaining, but there's a lot of jeopardy to that one. They're not going to put him near the guys I mentioned or a Richardson Hitchens. It's a real difficult time for Dalton Smith. I don't quite know where he gets that big name from. So I think they're going to keep it in-house. And like I always thought, they was going to bring Regis over for Cattrall because it was easy to do. I think they're going to put Cattrall in with Dalton Smith, or if they can, bring over a Parrow, something along that level. It's a fight that offers a bit of jeopardy, but if the right Dalton Smith turns up, he should win it. But I agree, there isn't a standout win on his record, and I'm not quite sure where the next one comes from.
Yeah, it's a shame because, I mean, there are a few domestic dance partners that are worthwhile. There's just a matter of making it happen. But again, I guess it's a risk and reward kind of argument there. Ames, what are you hoping to see in this fight from Smith, and what kind of statement you're hoping from him, and I think even more so than this, because I just don't think Jermaine's the guy. What do you want next for him?
Yeah, there was all sorts of conversations about who the opponent might be, and they were thinking that the opponent could be one of Adam Azim's previous opponents. It might have been, as I hastily search this up on BoxRec, I can't quite remember who it was off the top of my head. Maybe, Frank Petitjean. They thought maybe they'd be looking for one of those sort of retreads to keep the fire burning between those two in terms of that rivalry. And that's the only rivalry that they have right now. And for me, it's a real reach with that rivalry because there isn't really any, apart from them being two British fighters who are looking for a world title, there isn't really all that much in that rivalry. I feel that's very much manufactured in terms of the want and desire to see those two square off at this point. I can appreciate that it was mandated at a level, but that rivalry, as much as we hate to say it, sometimes does have a lot of cooking to still do. I think the problem with Dalton Smith is, and it's quite glaring when you look at it from the outside looking in, is if you're a kid from Sheffield and you've attached yourself to a football club and you're still not able to shift tickets, that's a big problem. And part of that problem is you got to get amongst it. And I'm not saying Dalton Smith hasn't got amongst it, but you're also from the previous fighters who've come from that area who've been able to shift tickets. They've had that little bit about him. And Dalton Smith, I'm not saying it as a negative way, but he's a completely different type of character. He doesn't have that kind of flair or flashness in his speech or bravado like the likes of Naz did beforehand, or Kel wasn't quite like that in a sense, but he had the momentum of the Ingle gym and that pushing forward, whereas the Smith gym just isn't quite like that. And I think that's kind of really cut his legs down a little bit. Plus, from what I'm aware, is he commands quite a high fee as well too. He's got a good team around him who push for the best deals. But when you push for the best deals and you've got the majority of the money, that means there isn't a lot of money left over for your opponent. And then you're waiting for that perfect opportunity to climb up the ladder because the investment on the other side isn't there for you. So you've just got to hold and hold and hold. I think they've even downsized for where this fight is taking place as well. I think they've gone from an arena, Nottingham Arena, to a smaller arena. So those sort of kind of little hallmarks aren't going in the right direction. But what is going in the right direction is that he's whacking up the wins. His last opponent was not good. It was a real bad bad opponent. And I know Eddie will try and spin it as Dalton Smith was just levels and all that sort of stuff. While Eddie Weezer didn't belong in the ring with Dalton Smith. But I think he's just got to keep racking him up, to be honest with you, and just do his job. It'd be great if he could shout out a little bit more and push himself a little bit more that way. Closed mouths don't get fed. But if he keeps racking up the wins, he'll manifest those opportunities by putting himself in those mandated positions, and that's how he gets his route to the world title. And they might think that's fine because he might need that little bit of extra experience. But this kind of narrative and rhetoric of the longer he leaves it with Azim, the quicker Azim closes that gap on him. That might have already caught up on him, and then he's in a bit of a spot. So as much as you could probably say he can bide his time a little bit, in terms of a rivalry, he's got to speed up with Azim. In terms of a longer picture, getting paid and stuff, and those guys want to get it onto like a Riyadh season type of card. I can get that because you're maximizing your income. But if you back yourself, and we saw Boots, I think Eddie was saying about Boots took the lesser part of the pay to get Stanionis to come over and unify. So sometimes you need to take those risks and back yourself, and maybe there could be a little bit more of that for Dalton Smith. But look, he's a good talent. I just don't see him part of the world picture either, quite as of yet. But he needs to knock out this Jermaine guy, and pretty quickly.
All right, and Steve, your thoughts? It's a rare chance that I get to have two boxing writers on here at the same time. Normally I'm left with the great freelance minds of the boxing world. So yeah, give me your thoughts on this one before we move on to the rare Sunday card that we're going to be looking at for next week.
Yeah, I think he needs a dance partner, doesn't he? And Azim, you'd imagine, would be that dance partner. He's a British rival, but Azim is a lot younger. They've tried to close him into a corner with the way that Eddie dealt with the European title and all that. But I think they're just trying to tread water at the moment, waiting for the Alberto Puello fight. The boys in the chat were saying, and they said pretty much what I was thinking. He's number one now, I think, isn't he, for the WBC? Puello's the WBC champion. So they're going to hold out for that, I think.
I think that's a stylistic nightmare for Smith.
Well, yeah, but this is the thing, Matty. They've got to sort of pick somebody and nail their colours to the mast, because Dalton Smith, for me, isn't strong enough to swim in this division. The 140-pound division is strong. Like, if you look at even the guys around him, even guys down as far as 20 in BoxRec and all here, Elvis Rodriguez, Brandon Lee, Jermaine Ortiz, Oscar Duarte, P.S. O'Leary's there. They're not going to put him in with him. Claggett, I know he's no world beater. Delgado, you're going up to Ernesto Mercado, Birslanov, that Beterbiev clone guys hanging around as well. And that's just in that sort of Dalton Smith 20-10 region. So if he ends up going in an eliminator or some kind of, gatekeeper fight, or like a contender battle for number one spot or something like that, there's a chance he could possibly lose. So I think they're going to hang on to that spot for him to go straight and fight Puello. Like you say, stylistic nightmare. But what are the alternatives? You got your Lopez's, Matias's, Barboza Jr., as Des mentioned, at the absolute top level, Richardson Hitchens, Liam Parrow. We're talking about being, Liam Parrow coming over. He was a world champion a couple of fights ago. I don't see a lot of joy at all for Dalton Smith. I mean, I'm not saying he's all right. Like, I don't rate him that highly compared to some of these guys. And that fella that Ames was mentioning, that Weezer last time, he absolutely blasted him away. He's got to do a job on this Jermaine. First 7 or 8 rounds, he's got to get rid of him. Jermaine's lost a couple of times, both by stoppage against sort of lesser opposition. He is on a good run of victories. I have seen him a few times on the Eye of the Tiger cards, but he's been fighting against substandard opposition. He's 35 years of age. He's coming over here to keep Dalton Smith ticking over, nothing more. And it's down to Dalton Smith to choose the method of victory. And he's a puncher, Smith. And with the crowd behind him, big or not, you'd imagine he's going to get rid of Jermaine. But other than that, they need to sit on that and try and get a shot at the champion straight away, because I don't think he thrives well, as I said before, against these guys at 140, because I think it's a deep division.
Oh yeah, it's an absolutely deep division, and that's one thing. I mean, I all that what you just said makes sense, because it's like a matter of where do you take him? I mean, it's almost, I think the most competitive fights that Smith might have in his career could be after losing a title opportunity where they're forced to say, yeah, he's kind of going to be fighting European and top domestic level. And then he has to take on all of these potential foes that might be closer to his level domestically, even if he ends up on the winning end against Azim, et cetera, et cetera.
He strikes me as the kind of guy, and I could be wrong, but he's 28 now. He's had 17 fights, and Ames mentioned about them striking a hard bargain. He strikes me as the kind of guy who'll get that opportunity, win or lose. He might even walk away, or he might rebuild a couple of fights, then have the Azim grudge match. Then, like you said, make it easier to make, and then walk away. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm boxing for life, man." It just doesn't. I could be completely wrong. He could end up having 40 odd fights, but I just feel like he'd be a sort of one shot and away kind of a fella.
Yeah, and I mean, good on him. I much prefer that to the Josh Warrington, leave your gloves in the ring bullshit. So yeah, whatever goes. But yeah,
why are you hating on Josh Warrington, Matty? Come on, Matty, come on.
Because his headbutting ass. I dislike Josh Warrington.
He's stayed on Warrington tonight. He's not having a Warrington tonight, Matty.
No, come on.
No,
he's entertaining. He's an extremely entertaining fighter. It is. Warrington, like
he's giving Josh Warrington. He's giving Josh Warrington too hard of a
And if fellas fucking headbutt him back. That's the fucking what do you know what I mean? Okay,
really open up that cut that he caused you.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
elbow and punch him in the balls or something. Do something like fucking. Don't let him fucking headbutt you.
I am a fan of the return fire. That's again with Ricky Hatton's return low blow against Kostya Tszyu in the 9th round is probably what won him that fight because that sucked the life out of Tszyu.
As much as I love a skillful fighter, like a graceful fighter with all the flair and the flashy combinations, they're my favorite fighters. Like, but after power punchers, I kind of like dirty fighters. Like, I like dirty center halves as well. That'll kind of like fucking. Ramos and that, like real shit houses. Like, but one of my favorite fighters is B-Hop, like the master of the fucking headbutt behind the throat, feint the jab, throw the right hand over the top and headbutt you on the way in. Yeah, that's what you fucking, you know what I mean? It's up to the referee to fucking sort that out. Like, with a headbutt never fucking hurt anyone.
And the punch to the thigh to start numbing your leg and
kill
your movement. Yeah. So
hit you on the blind side of the ref and all. Come on, everyone likes a bit of the dark arts.
On the hip whenever you're in the clinch.
So we got a card a week from today, the Rare Sunday card. I hate to push it along, but we have obviously Steve's here. We're gonna have to do a value of the week. But let's hit the undercard first before we hit the rematch. We got Tyler Denny against Elvis Ahorga at super middleweight. Denny moving a little bit north there. Maybe it's just a one-off to get off the rust. Fraser Clark against Dillian White, victim. I think we were all together victims that night. Ebenezer Tete over 10 rounds, hopefully not 10. Lee Cutler against Sam Eggington. Sam just keeps on going. This is a junior middleweight over 10. Give us your thoughts on that undercard, Des.
Depends what Sam Eggington's got left. He's been reasonably active. I expect Lee Cutler to win. I've got a soft spot for Sam though. I genuinely I seem to like fighters from that part of the country. They seem to be very honest and they're a bit old-fashioned. It brings me on to Tyler Denny. I'm a big fan of Tyler. Elvis is awful. Tyler beats Elvis. But the interesting one for me is Clark and Tete. You would expect Fraser Clark to always beat an Ebenezer Tete, but we don't know the effects of Clark's last fight. We don't know if that's going to overhang him a little bit. I've seen two sides to Fraser Clark. I've seen the Fraser Clark that was in the mixer with Fabio Wardley. That's the best he's ever looked. And I saw the Fraser Clark that was a little bit leaning back, waiting to be hit and a bit pedestrian, and it cost him. So it all depends what type of Fraser Clark turns up. We cannot underestimate the psychological damage, though, that could have been done in that fight because he was absolutely clipped and iced. I expect him to beat Ebenezer Tete, but Ebenezer Tete, you'd think he can punch. He is durable. I just wonder if Fraser Clark's going to feel his way into it or if he's going to have a little bit of a mini meltdown in there. We don't know. I find that one quite interesting because he had such a hard fight, and I didn't think Fraser Clark would ever box again after that last one. So,
well, and
I
is he
expect
going to be
Clark to win,
hesitant
but
to throw after getting your jaw broke? Right?
what's he going to be like when what's he going to be like when he cops one off a heavyweight? You just don't know. You can't. This will be good for him because I think Tete is the perfect opponent. He can punch a bit. He's solid. He's durable, and Clark needs rounds. He needs to come out of this fight at least 6 rounds and say, do you know what? I'm back. That's what I needed. But you just don't know what you're going to get because I can't. As I just to repeat myself, you can't underestimate the psychological damage that could have been done in that last one. That was a real bad knockout.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a rough one for him. Justin, why don't you give us your thoughts on this undercard?
I mean, I'll just add that Tete actually, I mean, I guess you look good for him, but he battled White his last fight. I mean, he hung in there and he landed some really good shots, and he took
went
some
the
shots.
distance. He went the distance when everyone thought he was getting knocked out. In
So
right?
I'm saying, I'm like this. You never know. I mean, I would not be shocked if he beat Fraser Clark because I mean, Tete is. I mean, he's not any good, but like this said, he punches okay. He's going to try, and I would not be shocked if he beat Clark at all. At all. I mean, I'd say he's got a bigger chance than people are probably thinking he does.
Interesting.
You gotta look. Is White at this point in their career? Is Clark better than White? Or are they just the same guy? I guess you got to look at it that way.
I think you get like 7-8 to 1 on that, maybe too.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't. I mean, if you got a couple of, I would not be surprised if Tete, because like Dad said, Clark had his whole face arranged. You don't know how. I mean, and Tete can punch hard enough that you never know. He might not want it. He might get punched and don't like the way it feels, and he might not want it. You don't know.
Yeah, interesting. You guys got me thinking there. And yeah, might have to try to. I don't know if there's any U.S. TV for this or not, but yeah, we'll. I kind of
Peacock, I think, show these shows, don't they? Is it Peacock?
I don't know if that's still going. We'll have to see.
Oh, right.
No, Peacock dumped that. They don't. They were showing them, but they don't. I don't know who. Somebody will have. I mean, I'll have it at least. I'll have a good way to get it, but I don't think there is a U.S. because ESPN was doing some of this stuff. Then Peacock had it. I don't think we have anybody now.
It's on Easter Sunday too, so you kind of like they're like, what kind of numbers do they think they could get, kind of stuff too. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting enough, but yeah, this the main event. I tell you what, Rob, the main event. I'm excited because I am all about people showing heart in the box. Hold on. No. Let me go into my soliloquy, and I'll let you address everything. I'll lose this thought. I smoke too much weed to lose my thoughts. So, Rob,
soliloquy away there, will you? For fuck's sake.
Thank you. I'm all about toughness and heart in the boxing ring. I like to see people giving it their all, the Rocky type shit. You know, people fighting beyond what they are, coming back from adversity. So in this rematch, after Ben Whittaker suffered that horrendous injury after being shoved so viciously out of the ring from Lee and Cameron, I got to say, Rob, I'm team Ben Whittaker on this one because coming back this quickly after such a terrible event, you talk about a show of heart. It's right here in front of you on your plate.
What you're saying, Matty, is you dream of nights like these, but very seldom do they happen.
Yeah.
I listen. And there's a Kronk connection there, isn't there? Because that's famously Manny Stewart's quote during Gary Ward. And Ben Whittaker's now on his second Kronk trainer. He's with Andy Lee for the rematch, isn't he? So I'm the wrong person to come to this because obviously I think Ben Whittaker's a massive favourite now. Is going to win by knockout. No,
biggest comeback since Errol Spence won the car crash, Rob.
A fucking magical turnaround from
some
a man.
People are ejected from cars. Some people are ejected from rings. Which is worse? I don't know.
No, listen. I can't go against Ben Whittaker this week because I did today. I did a 10K with the missus. Right, missus signed me up for a 10K, but I'm a big fraud. I walked most of it, and I went for a piss in the Apple Green, and I got like a coffee. And there was lads bombing by me and all. They were like, And I have to say, segue, those people that I didn't know this because this was my first 10K. So there was a marathon and a 10K. I never did this. I wasn't training for it. I was training for it on my usual diet of 4 cans of Kirpaki and whatever else that goes with it, right? But I'm reasonably fit for my age. And I play a lot of soccer now, but I don't like running. I fucking hate running, right? So I used to hate running when I was boxing too, road work, hated it. So I can't think of anything worse, but the missus anyway. Oh, do you want to be good? We go to 10K, yeah. So I didn't know. I got the number and all, and I'm running like wearing a polo t-shirt, a pair of Air Max. Everybody's in the full gear, right? So I fucking bombing it around for the first K or whatever. And I'm like, ah, fuck this, like, so I was slowing down. But I didn't know that people go to marathons that are not in the race and they cheer on everyone. Like they don't have anyone in the race, just standing on the side of the road going, "You can do it. Go on, keep going." And I like, fuck off, everyone. You stop. You see me here walking. I have a coffee in my hand. What do you say? Keep going to me for.
To be
So the
fair, so
missus
you
is
gotta feel
bombing on
good.
ahead.
There's 3 levels of losers: the motherfuckers that decide to go out and run, the motherfuckers who decide to go out and walk, and the motherfuckers who go out there and stand and
So
watch it.
no, wait for it. It gets better. So the missus is wearing a weight vest. She's bombing on ahead of me, right? So she has the hump of me because I'm fucking holding her back. So she's bombing on ahead of me. I'm gone for a coffee. And I'm talking to the boys in the group chat at the same time. And I'm like, will I just fucking sprint the rest of it and bomb by her now? Like, fucking raise the stakes for the afternoon. Will I just sprint by her like in a few minutes when I finish my coffee? So I saw the fucking finish line was inside and I started legging it. And then they had like fucking people reading the number or whatever. They're like, "Here comes Rob Kelly to the finish line." There's people that cheer me and there's people I knew and they're all like, "Yeah, Rob." And then when I got to the end, they're all like coming up high five me and they were like, "Yeah, like the biggest fraud." I had the medal and everything. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I was like, fraud. I was drinking a coffee fucking 5 minutes ago. But I put the story up on Instagram or whatever, and Andy Lee hit the like button. Like, so he thinks I've done the 10K, so I can't go against him now with his new protege for the fucking rematch. But to bring it back to the clonk, I tell you, this would be one of my favorite fucking Manny quotes is that he told me that 99 times out of 100, the better fighter wins the rematch. So I think Ben Whittaker is probably the better fighter out of Liam Cameron, but I think Liam Cameron will make a gallant effort before he gets his head flown off his shoulders. I think there's no option but for a Whittaker knockout win here. But I don't know if I like him jumping around trainers and all that either. Like we'll have to see how this relationship pans out on a totally fucking unbiased view. Um that's a red flag for me. That's his like third set of trainers already, like, and he's only had one questionable performance. So he seems to he's one of these guys. His ceiling could be so high, especially in this generation, because he's made for TikTok, isn't he? Like he's made for the little dance moves, the little sound bites, the fucking. They'll love him. Like if he moves up the level and he keeps knocking people out, he's going to print money off. Like because he's this kind of popcorn generation's fucking man. Like you know what I mean?
Exactly,
Domestic
Rob.
fighter and
Rob,
all
you know
that. Like
what? You made a really good point there. But listen to Manny Stewart's quote: "The better fighter usually wins the rematch." But Whittaker
yeah.
could be the better boxer, but is he the better fighter?
Is he the better fighter? And and that's what I'm saying. I think Cameron will fucking ask questions of him. I think he'd put in a gallant performance. I think Whittaker will get out of there with a knockout win because I think he just
yeah,
has
he asked
an
those
extra
questions
level of
the
talent.
first
But
time, and you know, and Whittaker, like he failed those right the first
yeah,
time.
100%. Cameron dominated the first fight and was on course. You look like for an upset. I think. I don't think that's unfair to say. Like so, we'll have to see. But if I'm calling it, I'd say Whittaker by knockout. But if we were sitting here next week talking about a Cameron win, I wouldn't be surprised. He seems like a very dialed in guy as well. Like he's a man on a mission, and he doesn't fear Whittaker at all. He feels like he had his number in the first fight, so that brings a fucking level of competitiveness and fucking kind of grudgery and stuff like and determination. So I don't think he's going to come and lie down, like that way. So should be a good fight.
Rory just hit a wedge in the water from 86 yards. Oh, what a fucking choke. Anyhow, so yeah,
Fuck that
interesting.
game as well. Stupid fucking game as well. Get out of the fucking golf. Fuck me,
So
man. What a
anyhow,
fucking.
yeah, that was a that was a good take. But Ames, apparently you wanted to get some stuff in on the undercard too, so feel free to address this card in whole. Thank you for letting me keep let my brain cells that are intact talk there. I do appreciate it.
What? No, I'm just kidding.
God, now I'm wondering, like, it's not legal over there. What illegal stuff are you doing, my friend?
I'm
my
just kidding.
God,
I'm just kidding. Right. First of all, Ebenezer Tete isn't going to get anywhere near Fraser Clark. Like, I mean, when I say that, I mean, obviously it's heavyweight boxing and all that sort of stuff. But Ebenezer Tete can't punch He doesn't throw a proper technique to deliver a concussive punch like that, unless Fraser Clark is very deeply damaged, which I do have concerns about, but I think he has enough to get through Ebenezer Tete for sure. I think he's just going to jab his head off and set up with behind the right hand, build his confidence back up, and get a late stoppage or points victory over Ebenezer Tete. Whatever that means in terms of statements and placements within the heavyweight division remains. But I think that's the type of fight, if he is going to continue, which he's decided to do so, is what he needs to, the type of win, the type of fight he needs to build up that confidence to get back up towards British title level and further if those are his goals. Tyler Denny versus Elvis Ahorga should be fun. Elvis Ahorga, I guess, stole a bit of the spotlight when he was calling himself the Terminator and the Black Schwarzenegger and things like that. He talked himself into another opportunity. Seems fun enough. Same sort of thing, though. Doesn't really have his game as anything, but doesn't really have the technique to land anything big on Tyler Denny. And Tyler should look good in returning back from his fight since Hamza Shiraz. What else is on the undercard? Have a little quick look. I'll talk about Ben Whittaker whilst I do. I watched the gloves are off type of thing. Johnny Nelson, Ben Whittaker, Liam Cameron. And for anyone looking for a concrete reason or a concrete bit of evidence or anything from a concrete reason is what I should say as to what was, or explanation as to what was injured. Was it the ankle? Was it the neck? Was it the back when you went over the rope? Johnny Nelson asked it, and Whittaker just trivialized it. And I don't think you're going to get an answer if you're looking for one from Ben. I think he's going to do his answer.
So that means he bottled it.
If that's the conclusion you want to come out with, then I think he's leaving everyone to that. I think Ben probably should embrace a lot of that. I remember there was that moment with Andy Clark. I can't remember what it was, but they had a bit back and forth, and Ben Whittaker wasn't happy about some of the things he'd said. Ben said, "You don't know the sacrifices I've been through." I think it's about the showboating and stuff, and that means I can showboat and whatever. But you need that little bit of, if you're going to do a showboat, you need both sides of the coin, because that's what lifts you up, because people talk about you, and the last thing you want is indifference when you walk through walk to the ring and through the ropes. If you don't have any support, whether it's against you or for you, then you don't become a star. And we were talking about that, or you guys were talking about that Peacock deal with Boxer. It seemed like the Peacock deal ended, and it coincided with Ben Whittaker losing, because Ben was all set up for, after that fight with Liam Cameron the first time, had he got through with the victory, to have a debut in America. That's how impressed the networks were with what he was doing in the ring, the highlight reels, that sort of thing. They wanted a slice of that. So he could be something big, but he has to get on the track fast and quick, and he has to do that by beating Liam Cameron. It was only after the fact, with a little bit of hindsight, it was quite interesting with the matchmaking of Liam Cameron, because that region where Liam Cameron has come from, they've seen Ben Whittaker's type, they've seen Ben Whittaker's style, and they've seen it to the highest level with Naz, Harold, Graham, whatever. So
and I bet they've seen all sorts of fighters at all sorts of levels try to imitate Naz, but it's not a duplicable style. It's very unique to one guy who made it work at a moment in time.
But more so, they know the kryptonite, and Liam Cameron has spent years in the gym fighting that type of style, because he can't do that, so he has to be a completely different way, and that's what's got him to the dance. And he did really well. I kind of saw the fight a little bit differently. I still saw Ben Whittaker being in the fight. I didn't see him being drowned by Liam Cameron by any means, but it was a close competitive fight between the two of them. And I can't pass judgment on the bit over the top of the rope, because I wasn't in their shoes, and I guess you got to take their word for what it is. But this fight will prove what the case was, whether Liam Cameron is better than Ben Whittaker. I tend to think that Ben will come through the victory on points against Liam over 10 rounds and not 12, which is a point in contention. What might trip him up a little bit is this change in trainer. and there's an amount of time that it'll take for them to bed in. Like Joe Parker didn't look great when he first joined Andy Lee, and I'm not saying it's because of Andy Lee. I'm just saying it's because of the process of bedding in with the trainer. So there'll be ways for Liam to get him back into old habits and then get back into that first game plan and make him start to think about that first fight again and think of how he was able to go on.
I don't think Andy Lee's going to try and change Ben Whittaker too much. I don't think he's gonna stop him trying to showboat, and I think Sugar and Andy Lee be similar enough in their philosophies that I remember Sugar Hill saying, "No, that's part of it. Like that's just what he's able to do." I think he'd be more looking to get him to sit down on the shots more, like, and commit more, because he does. But because of the level of opposition he's been fighting up to now, he's been able to get away with taking a complete piss in the ring because he's so athletically gifted. Like, and I do think some of the stuff he could do, not everyone can do, but it's okay doing it against those guys. When you move up, then, like you said, Abe's there. Maybe it could be a stretch saying he was getting dominated, but it looked like he didn't have the answers in the first fight. Like, so I think he can definitely punch. I think he's got some kind of punch power. I think they'll be more working on finishing fights and getting fellas out of there, like, rather than making any kind of massive adjustments to his style. Like, I don't think he's going to fight like a Paddy Donovan. I think he's got a different style for each fighter, but I think he won't try and change him too much.
Well, that sounds good. That sounds a bit of what Ben needs, but will that be embedded into him in the time that they've had?
No, maybe not. I'm just saying in general, I don't think he's going to try to. I don't think he's trying to. And in terms of Cameron, I think going out over the ropes, that fucking massively helped his stock, didn't it? Because he was able to say, Whittaker swallowed it, like, against me. I was getting on top. Look what he did, like, and he might have gone on to lose that fight on the night if the fight had got on and he'd be out of the picture. But now he's raised his profile, like he's in a big domestic fight. It kind of feels like if it was back in the old days on Sky, this fight would have been massive, like, already, doesn't it? Like, just fucking feels like it should probably be. And you're talking about TV deals and stuff, but it just feels like this fight, if this had happened under the old regime, like this fight would be monstrous. Like,
well, I'm going to be in attendance covering for Seconds Out this week, and I'm really intrigued to see how many bums and seats there are going to be. What with it being Easter weekend, sure, but like Birmingham, very notoriously hard to sell in this day and age. A ticket in, and they're trying to build back in this area. They've had some decent success with it, but if they're going to have big success with it, it would probably be with someone like, the heavyweights so far from the West Midlands and just the outer regions haven't got to that level just yet. Ben's really kind of pushed as far as he can and as far forward so far as any Brummy West Midlander has done in recent years, unless I'm forgetting someone who completely obvious. I know Yafai is about to step in for an interim or won an interim or whatever it was, but we're talking about a lower kind of weight there. So that'll be something to keep an eye on to see if they can really kind of rejuvenate this market. But he's the type of guy to really do it. But he's got to look good, because at light heavyweight and against Liam Cameron, who's campaigned the majority of his career at super middleweight, stuttering and faltering against Liam Cameron, with all due respect to him and his career, isn't the best of looks for what the trajectory was for Whittaker. There are kind of these rumors and whispers about Ben's application to trainings and how he took it beforehand, and whether his commitment to those sessions was really there. It's got to be there. Those problems or those questions have got to be answered well before this fight on Sunday, because if they aren't, then he's cutting his career short than his promise could be, and that would be a real shame, because he's a lot of fun, and a lot of fighters aren't a lot of fun these days.
Excellent. Now, Steve, do you think that that the career of Whittaker is going to go in a more positive direction, or do you think we're looking at kind of like another Frankie Gavin?
Well, Ames made a good point at the end there, and I've been thinking this myself for a while. The characters have definitely disappeared out of British boxing, and it is a duller place at the moment, but that's a different conversation for another day. The Frankie Gavin thing.
He's coming back.
Yeah, bare knuckle. Yeah,
Bare
yeah,
knuckle?
back in the bare knuckle scene, exactly. I hadn't thought about Frankie Gavin as a comparison, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. I worry about Whittaker. Well, no, I don't really worry about him, to be honest, but I think I've seen enough. These last couple of fights or so. I think I see where his career's going. And similar to Fraser Clark on the undercard as well. I don't really want to write the pair of them off, but I think I'm going to write the pair of them off. I think it's a mentality thing with Whittaker. I always thought his confidence was contrived. He was a fun guy. He was showboating against guys below his level, etc. That's all in the past now. I saw the warning signs against that Ezra fellow, the smaller Nigerian guy, and I was a bit like, okay. I wonder whether it's the mentality that's the issue rather than the technical or style alterations or fitness alterations or stuff like that. Even if he gets past Liam Cameron in a rematch, how are they going to match him going forward? They're already fumbling and fussing over trying to get it 10 rounds, 12 rounds. Boxer themselves, the matchmakers, are giving off distress signals as far as I'm concerned. There's been a big confidence dent here, not least with Whittaker himself, as to where his trajectory in the sport is. And I don't know whether the confidence is kind of flagging. He went from supremely confident showboating to huge doubts with him, maybe with himself, I don't know, but with the paying public very quickly. It's that Naz Antley small tightrope. And I just don't think, even if he gets past Cameron, I just don't think he's going to have another Cameron waiting in his way. You know, if he's going to go the trajectory of world level, there's going to be someone else waiting for him 2 or 3 fights down the line, even if they match him soft after this next one. If he wants to get to world level, he's going to have to pass guys like Liam Cameron and far better. And I just don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you. I don't want to write the kid off, like, but I just, it's not happening for me. I think I've seen enough. I've seen where his trajectory, I've seen where he's going to get to. And I just see someone else, if not Liam in this rematch. I think Whittaker will win the rematch. Just having too much for him, to be honest. And I'll say the same about Fraser Clark. I think he'll beat Ebenezer Tete, but I think that Wardley thing has just took too much out of him. I just don't see him being the same. I don't see him have the trajectory that Ben Shalom was talking about. Don't see him getting to world level. I've seen enough from him as well, to be honest. I'm just writing everyone else left, right, and centre tonight. Lee Cutler, Sam Eggington will be a good fight. Them two will just knock lumps out of each other. Elliot Whale, Lucas Ballingall will be a good fight as well. And Tyler Denny's opponent, Elvis Aogi, he's terrible, he is. Tyler might even get the stoppage over him. But yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I saw what I needed to see in that first Cameron fight, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. Like anything in this boxing game, people could come back at me if Ben goes on and becomes a multiple undisputed champion, but not for me, Matty.
Steve, here's what I think they'll do. I think they'll slow him right down after this fight.
Yes, I agree.
And it will be like Joshua Boazzi in the way that career stop-started, never really gathered momentum, and now at this very late stage, or at least years on from his Olympic run, did we see him at a top-level fight, and now just faltering against Callum Smith? They'll put him in and keep him around domestic level, and they've got this title on this side, and they're on the tail end of this Viterbo Bivol trilogy, and one of them is or both of them are going to exit the scene, and the titles are going to fragment, and even then, maybe then afterwards, they'll wait for a vacant opportunity or whatever. But there's routes for him to go down. There are fights for him to take, but they've got to match him particularly and carefully. There was a story that he told and kind of told that the way that he thinks, I think, about his career, and I won't name too many names, but we were at this Boxer had arranged this I think end of year meal that I'd gone to, and there was a load of fighters they invited, of course, boxer fighters. Adam Azim was there, Caroline Dubois that was there. I was on a table with Ben Whittaker, and Ben was super engaging. He was brilliant. He was telling all these stories, and he was telling all these stories about how him and some other GB hopefuls had gone away to I think it might have been Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan or one of these type of countries for sparring. They'd happened upon one of these gyms on their travels. And this gym that they walked into was a really lively, loud, thriving type of gym, intimidating from the get-go. And the guys in the gym had obviously seen them come in and wanted a slice of them for sparring. And one fighter had gone in with another fighter from that region, and he got his clock cleaned, knocked out. And Whittaker saw it and said, "You know what? I don't think I'm going to spar." And you might see that as take that as one way as maybe the challenge, or you might take that as one way as actually he's quite smart here, and he might think about what he's doing and think about the route he's going to take and think about what's right for him. And I think it's that way. I think that they didn't probably think about Cameron and how his style is kryptonite for what he has, and they'll take it a lot slower after this fight, get through this, and manage it a lot better, and manage his route a lot better, because that's the way his career needs to be guided.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think they will do that. And then the concern would be when that step up, that next level Cameron comes along. Has he learned? Has he matured? Is he able to deal with that? I don't know. It's going to be difficult. I'm not so sure myself.
All right. And God, I can't believe we stretched all this in almost 3 hours. Justin, I'm going to give the American the last word on the British card.
I think we've discussed it enough.
Boom.
I'm good.
Steve, why don't you take it away, sir?
Take it away. Let's take us all home. I'll have to cut a load of these out now. Let's see what we're going to play us into. What episode? I like your title, by the way, Matty. Boots up your Stanionis. That's good work from you. That is.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Even the sun shines on a dog's arse someday, Steve.
He got there in the end. He kept on pitching. He got there in the end. Yeah, episode 613, Value of the Week. I'm Steve. If you haven't heard from me before, let's play one in here. Someone threw this in earlier, and we hadn't heard it in a while. It's from our friend Porky Russ. Not sure what he's up to these days, but this is classic Porky for you to play us into 613.
Hang on a minute. That shows how I should have strapped it in, shouldn't I? You know when you have a bit of road rage and you go to overtake them? Hey mate, your exhaust hanging off you. Hey sweetheart, your exhaust hanging off. Fucking hell, look at that. Imagine if she were your missus, you'd strangle her, wouldn't you? Going down motorway with exhaust hanging off. Tried to tell her, tried to do a good Samaritan trip. A good Samaritan bit. If that were your missus, you'd strangle her, wouldn't you? Yeah, I'd kill you.
What a legend, man. Fucking hell. Oh my God. Good man. I hope you're doing okay, pal. Fuck me. The beaded Michael Jackson jacket as well from and what's this?
Oh, good old Porky.
No wonder you wanted to stop the fucking car. She's like, oh, that's the fucking fella. He's about to turn into fucking werewolf now in a minute, isn't he? He's in that jacket.
Oh dear. Bit of Porky to play us in there, everybody. Let's get things started. Exactly. Bit of Rick Glazer as well. We always love a bit of Rick Glazer. It's a bit of bad news as well for everybody. Bad news for my haters. Had my cancer checkup yesterday, and the doctor said I'm doing very well in all categories. He also told me I'm going to live a long life. And I told him, Doc, it's a life well lived for this boxing lifer.
And Jesus wept.
He was doing good the last time. Remember, he was in recovery that time. Remember that time?
Exactly.
He was looking very. So hopefully, he's on the mend.
He's on the mend.
He was dead for the last 2 months. The last time I saw him. For fuck's sake. Oh,
resurrected just in time for Easter, old Rick Glazer.
Lazarus here. Lazarus Glazer.
Oh dear. Yeah, there's one there for the Queensbury Promotions celebrating the new undisputed light heavyweight world champion Dmitry Bivol with an Artur Beterbiev graphic there. We all know who they're expecting to win, so they got nominated for this week's Belly of the Week. Here's one for you, actually, Matty. I think you're going to like this one. I don't really know what to say about this, but I mean, he's a big lad, isn't he? Imagine trying to fight that.
That's not something I would like to do. It's just like kind of like the Great Khali, if the Great Khali was, good. Or God, Justin, do you remember the Giant Gonzalez, that fucking the wrestler they had that like wore a fake bodysuit?
Came out like the skin suit.
Yeah.
God, what an idiot that guy was. He didn't walk.
Yeah. Speaking of, Sebastian Fundora could just become a wrestler if this doesn't work out for him.
He could do, absolutely, yeah.
He could.
His sister is boxing soon, I think, Matty, isn't she? Maybe next week, Gabriela?
Yeah, she's on, she'll be defending all of her belts on Saturday from California.
And we wish her well with that. And we wish Jordell Booker well as well, but unfortunately it didn't go too well for him, especially against that big specimen. My friend Sean Brown, works for Boxing News, had the temerity to write a preview in Joshua Barazzi against Callum Smith. And after the fight, he said, what a round, what a fight. Whatever happens, Smith has really impressed me. He had a really bad night against Beterbiev, then that wee 8-rounder, and now performing like this. Fair play, says Sean. And Paul Smith jumped in, old Smigger himself. Is that why you wrote him off in the preview, Sean? It read to me that way. You had him written off completely. A coin flip, even before Canada. So far off the mark, and it wound me up reading it yesterday. This fight wasn't and never has been a coin flip. Blood boiling from old Smigger.
This fight with my brother in it is not a close fight. Come on, Smigger.
Oh, dear. He's always raging. At least he hasn't blocked Sean. I suppose that's the main thing. Yes.
Remember the Nick he was in when he fought Andre Ward him? Fuck's sake.
Overweight, Smidder. Here's one for you, Ames. 15-0, Yuttapong Tongdi. I tell you what, turning up for violence, turning up for an interview more like in the old LinkedIn profile there for Mr. Tongdi.
Looks like an IT developer, doesn't he, Steve?
Yes.
I remember having to turn up to law firms in suits like that every day. It was just draining. I hate it. Saying that though, that looks like it's been photoshopped on as opposed to him actually having that suit on.
Yes. You might be right, you know.
So Tong D has enemies then.
Oh dear. Yeah. Good KO ratio for Tongdi there. He's 15-0 with his LinkedIn shot.
He sounds like he could sing his name, doesn't he? Like Yotta Pong Tongdi. It's catchy, isn't it? Rings off the tongue, Yotta Pong Tongdi.
I don't know why this whole conversation made me think of this, but it reminded me of John McAfee in this uninstalled McAfee video that he recorded that was hilarious, where he said, "This reminds me of the time I paid a prostitute to do my taxes while I fucked my accountant."
R.I.P. John McAfee, I say, Matty.
Yeah.
Thank God Donnie's not on right now. You know where he'd be going.
Oh, good old Donna. Hope you're well out there, Donna. What have we got here then? Oh, yes. Paddy Donovan and Lewis Crocker rematch was announced. Billy Nelson said the line, the promoter got what he wanted. He's that good. He called it on the night. Wonder what the British board have to say regarding the decision. Michelle Darcy jumped in and said the fans got what they wanted too. In fact, you're probably the only one who doesn't want it. And Billy, he come back with a little 1-2. Go and get some housework done, love, and leave the boxing to the big boys. There's a good girl.
Jesus.
That's chauvinism, which we hate on this part.
No quote talk from Billy there. Getting stuck in on old Michelle. What else have we got here? Oh, here's one for you, Rob. You're going to love this.
Big Mac in Dubai.
He's on form, isn't he?
At least he doesn't have to worry about blowing away in that wind.
I honestly worry for Big John. Like, I think that credit that he was in when It Starts Monday there about 3 years ago, I think that's firmly turned into a massive debit by the looks of things. Look, come on, like everyone around him now, come on, in the house and all, when he comes in with the burgers, just say no, man. Like, we don't want the burgers tonight. We're just going to fucking have a bit of rice or something. Like, it's like he's too big now. Like, come on, like get around him now. And everyone, all of us in the chat and all that, everyone, like, the fucking just the fun has gone out of it now, isn't it? Like, fuck's sake, man. Like,
Look at the money.
I know he's making a few quid. Yeah, but at what cost, Matty? Like,
I mean, he could be making more if he didn't have to pay for 2 airplane seats. I mean, come on.
No, I think the trick is for fucking, and this is where you miss the days of Jim McDonald in the boxing. I think it's to go full Liz now and do workout DVD in time for Christmas. You have you have a few months in the bank, get the camera crew around you, Bosh on the pads, fucking. You'd be like, get on the Ozempic or something, man. You'd be like a new man. Con the public even if you need to, like, but just fucking don't do this. Like, it's not good. Like,
Way
come
to
on.
better health.
Yeah, come on, like eat a few carrots, man. We're rooting for you, Big John. Do you know what I mean? There's time to turn it around. Fuck's sake. Come on, like do
Well,
a
you could
10K
turn it
with
around,
me.
Rob,
We go for
and
a coffee.
become the next Belanga opponent.
Oh, good
There's hope
Jesus.
for him yet.
That was me. Put my number on at 10K today.
10K,
Oh,
4.5K. What's the
Oh, man. There we go. That's Jonathan Oquendo. Or
Oh,
no,
this is amazing.
Lawrence Okoli. He says, although we've had our differences in the past, I'd like to wish Dillian White a happy birthday and peaceful retirement. He's been a great ambassador for the sport and proves being juiced off your tits isn't a recipe for success. It's inspiring to see him leave the sport on a high after his recent pay-per-view shows against Tete and Hammer. I truly believe those are the kind of shows that shape the landscape of boxing into what it is today and encourage powerhouses in the Riyadh season and TKO to enter boxing.
Jesus Christ! Don't give me a reason to love Lawrence Okoli. That was brilliant.
He's gonna have fucking Dean White telling him he's gonna hurt him now if he keeps this fucking talk up. It's gonna hurt you. That's amazing shit housery from Macaulay, isn't he? He never got over that sparring video, did he? Remember they had a confrontation after that, didn't he? Fucking White put him back in his box. He waited for his moment, and that was glorious. Like amazing, shaping the landscape of boxing. Oh!
Talking of shaping the landscape of boxing, from Okoli to Bucoli, Justin, here's one for you. Martin Bucoli, upon the death of George Foreman, AI picture of himself and George.
Well, look, he's put worse pictures up on Twitter. Put that way.
That's the first thing I. Yeah, come on, McCauley. I mean, him and Billy Nelson are both on a roll right now.
Yes.
Why would he make an AI image?
Rolling down the hill.
Why would he make an AI image of him and George Foreman where George Foreman is his dom?
You should have gave Foreman with the hair.
Gym, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Be the Billy Nelson gym. Like, imagine the things that are going around.
I'd at least went with hair, George Foreman.
It looks like if you squint at it, it looks like Big George is wearing a bra. Rest in peace, don't it?
Oh dear me. Anyway, back to the real stuff. Enough of this nonsense. There's Saul Farah against Rosendo Mercado. I think this was the 9th or 10th time they fought each other recently over in Bolivia rather.
Bolivia. We're fading the Bolivian.
It was all kicking off. I think Saul got the win actually after. There he is, getting his smaller arm raised.
Who's your man who's coming to do the lights?
Yes. Well, even better than that, Rob. Did you see the ring card girl? She hadn't got any.
What would David Hay think of her? I wonder.
She hadn't got any numbers, so she.
Imagine David Hayes in the corner there. What's he saying?
That ring card girl is the number 4 prostitute.
What?
In all
Actually,
of
didn't Farrah mess up? Because didn't he the judge? Doesn't he the timekeeper?
Yes.
That does, that's on him. That's definitely
Forgot
on
to
him.
order the ring card cards, exactly.
The crowd looked entertained there anyway, didn't they?
Kicks you in the face because it kind of, just sets the rules of boxing are pretty clear in that point. You don't have to rig anything.
Wasn't it a direct quote from David Hay where he was like, yeah, some of the shows I was at, like, and I was sitting there and I'm just looking at the ring card girl and she's a total minger, like, and I'm just thinking she's ruining the whole aesthetic of the show. Fucking hell, man.
She'll never be in my thruple.
Yes, exactly. Well, moving on seamlessly here, Eddie is talking about his favourite fighter, and you'd think he has a vested interest almost.
And we've seen it before. Sky's footwork and judge of distance is incredible. I'm talking about Shakur Stevenson and Usyk and like these kind of people. It's not just a case of I'm going to go in there, I'm going to cut you down from the waist down, and like you got to cut her off.
Jesus fucking Christ. That's up there with the Gad saying that Ebbs is the Muhammad Ali type figure in women's boxing. Fuck me.
He had some.
God damn it. What did you say to piss her off, Eddie? Are you trying to get in her good graces that hard again? Like, you must have really pissed her off. Did she catch you, like, banging the maid at the fucking resort you went to or something? Like, something is clearly wrong here. Like, oh, God. Laying it on pretty thick there, homie, which I'm sure you
Hey,
do often.
think about this. If we got to be with Scott Nicholson, there's God knows what we'd be saying in a press conference. I'd be lying. I'd be making every lie I could.
Possible.
I'd be telling Sky, don't be looking for that rematch, baby. Come on, we'll find a different route. Don't need that rematch. Who the fuck is she? Not the face, not the face, baby.
Right, moving swiftly on, we have Adi Oladipo, and he's getting a bit Churchillian with this speech here. He's getting a bit emotional almost.
Can you imagine the first bell for AJ Fury? And Fury's trying to deny us this? How dare you?
Yeah, how dare you?
How dare you, Fury? Please, I'm begging you. Just
very rude.
come back for
It's
one
very
more
selfish.
knock. It's just, we've been so close to this fight so many times.
How dare you? Why does he sound like a 12-year-old going through puberty?
He's like your woman, isn't he? The climate girl. What do you call her? How dare you?
Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
Fucking, how dare you get back to fucking school? I don't want to hear a fucking shit from you. Go pay a bill somewhere. Fuck off.
He's got this kind of
fucking
vibe,
place.
Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Swedish girl says, "You have ruined my childhood," and the fucking child diamond fucking minor.
That wasn't me,
like,
man. That
Fuck
wasn't me.
you,
That was just
you
fucking...
entitled white bitch.
So you ruined my childhood. That wasn't me. I was fucking ruining my own childhood. Fuck. I'm the blame for this as well.
Definitely a Delia Smith vibe, I thought, man. Let's be having you.
Let's be having you, Fury. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Back to the Future, and I was supposed to have a flying skateboard. Is there a flying skateboard? No. And if there was a flying skateboard, it would run on fossil fuels, because you have ruined my childhood.
Yeah.
Matty, you bring in the value of the week into disrepute.
I think it's I'm doing.
Well, you know what? Let's bring it back around to the man himself. Boxing Kingdom says illegal sports streams could be coming to an end in 2025. DAZN and other broadcasters have just run a court ruling that secures ISP bans on hundreds of illegal sports streaming sites. And Tony jumps in. Great news!
Jump your grass. Fuck's sake. So spell you, will you? I'm fucking paid to listen to you. Fuck's sake.
Anthony says,
Great news. Look at the fucking fist bump and everything. Grass, yeah.
Oh dear, he's some guy, isn't he? Right,
He's
final
against-
few here.
He's a guy from. I'm not going to say it. He's a good lad. We wish you well.
Yeah, we wish you well. We love Tony. Yeah, final few here. So a heavyweight fight on a what do you call the promoter? Dimitri Salita Promotions. This was. So we have one heavyweight wearing something of a girl's tracksuit against an opponent, and things got a bit hairy at the press conference. His opponent has this kind of a special heavyweight strength, let's say.
More.
All right, where's Mr. Mayor? Can we have the mayor? All right, fellas, thank you.
The last fight was versus 2-7. Somebody that's 54 years old. 2-7. 54 years old.
Okay, boys, thank you very much.
2-7, right?
Danielle, come on up.
I'll ask somebody fought somebody with your record. I'll ask fought somebody with your record. He ain't fought again. He ain't fought again. Whatever. I grab the
No. Gotta get back to the ring, guys. Hey!
Sloth handle him like a baby.
That was like fucking. He must have took his Babe Ruth. He got fucking upset there.
That's good fun.
Good for him, that big lad. That big. Is he all right, that lad?
Well, you probably should ask Rob. Did you actually see the fight itself? Let's watch it right now.
No, I haven't seen the fight.
I knew that was coming. Goodness. I knew that was coming. He went through the table, and you know what?
Disqualify these guys, man.
This fight should have been stopped 2 rounds ago.
Somebody gotta get up.
How embarrassing is it that this fight has been allowed to continue?
11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Take time. He's done. He's done. It's over.
What the
I got to
fuck
see
did
this
I just
fight.
watch?
I have to see this fucking fight, man. Unbelievable.
Why do you count to 16? Why do you count to 16 though?
If you're out, if knocked out of the
They
ring,
get
you
20 if you're out of the ring, isn't
seconds
it?
to get back.
20,
in.
yeah, there's a.
Wasn't it fitting though
I
that
mean-
Steve Willis was involved in a fight?
Yeah, he's on quite the run, isn't he? Fuck's sake.
Steve,
And
put
Steve
the
pulled him
little.
down to get disqualified as well. He pulled him down. He was getting back up at 16. He was like, here, come back down. You fucking hell, man. I have to see this fight. He said that the commentator said he should have been stopped 2 rounds ago. What about the fucking 2 rounds after? I have to see that. Like,
It was like
fucking
two
hell.
lucha libres laid out after a wicked Hurricane Rana.
Oh my god. That's what you want. Bit of fucking excitement. Stop fucking
Yeah.
Frank Buglioni on a Saturday night. You want fucking lads throwing each other through the table
On the press
ringside.
conference, right to the ring, no messing about between them two.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah. What are you saying, Ames?
I was going to say, I've just certainly been in that position on top, not knowing what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing.
Did you get pulled back down as well, Ames, or no? Before you quit?
Definitely.
Should have been stopped 2 rounds ago.
Trust me, Ames. Next time
Dream
we'll
of
be
nights
better.
like these, Ames.
Oh dear. Yeah, that was Brandon Moore.
Shut
and Sky
over the
Lacey.
top.
Yep. Love these boys. Right. What else have we got? Oh yeah, Matty, you've been seeing a lot of these. The boys have been throwing them in the chat all week.
Oh
I
god.
thought I'd pick a couple of the best ones. These like what is it, like Muppet Show
Yeah,
things or something that you
you
look.
can have them change any picture into a Muppet,
Yeah.
except for a picture
Yeah.
of Hitler. I've been arguing with them left and right, but they
Oh.
won't do it. Yeah, they're bastards.
Well, we've got Ben there with the Clueless edition.
Oh, the action figure one. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, that was a good one. And Malik Scott. I'm not sure who made that one.
that's good. That's good.
That was pretty decent, wasn't it? That one. Bit of Porky there. I think that was Damo who come up with that one. I'm not sure how the boys are doing these, but there's the Porky. What the hell, man? Oh, crazy. Was this one you, Matty? Did you?
No, I didn't do that one. That's good though. AJ and Usyk. Yeah, that's a good one.
And then the God. I think that might be Ryan Deal. And then we had Dillian White. They are pretty good, these. And I sent this one to Andy, this next one. That was
I think Damo did all these in the chat.
Did they, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was quite funny. And then this one, you'll like this one, Rob. So the Infamous Boxing Asylum podcast was asked to be recreated, and they came up with this one.
Here we go. 4 in a row. Here we go. 4 in a row.
That looks like a fucking claymation fucking
That
television.
is
show
amazing,
about a
man.
boy who's being molested.
You can actually fucking see, if you take obviously the Celtic shirt away and replace it with a Rangers jersey, you can see Andy Patterson saying, I never said that.
Oh dear, good stuff from the lads. Right, I know that my appearance was not expected, so I don't expect anybody to have any nominations. But if you have anything that has come to mind, feel free to throw it in now, gentlemen.
Oh yeah, I got one.
Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
So Floyd, didn't he recently announce to the public for some reason that he had bought a block of flats not a block of flats, like an apartment building in New York, and said that it was worth, the purchase was worth such and such $1 million, but some financial television magazine show did an investigation where they found out that he did no such thing, that he doesn't own that fucking apartment building and it hasn't even been sold. So fucking 50 Cent got hold of it and he's been doing all kinds of AI Floyd Pinocchio noses fucking on the internet. It's hilarious. I wish I had him to cut it because I didn't know he was coming on, but fucking hilarious stuff. Like, so Floyd's just out here lying through his teeth about owning real estate in New York that he doesn't own. Like, so maybe we see him back.
There was actually 2 guys I work with that are big Floyd fans, and they talked for like 30 minutes about how Floyd is such a man of the people to buy these apartment buildings and like give them to low income housing, and that he just loves his community. And they kind of find out he's a lying asshole. I think they went for like 30 minutes how much Floyd just loves the people. He didn't buy shit.
Yeah, it's probably he's probably fucking his claims to handing out
Have they
turkeys for
ever?
Thanksgiving.
Have
He's
they ever
probably
listened to Floyd? He hates the people, man. Remember when black people were boycotting Gucci because they did some racist fucking release of the shirt, and Floyd went to the Gucci store and fucking bought the place out. Doesn't give a fuck about the people. He hates the people, man. Look at this fucker who's on tour in Tel Aviv. He's a fucking asshole, man. Jesus Christ.
He's doing like a fucking half Kanye in a way, like like
He loves the
fucking playing
people.
people. Kanye is walking around like a
Fucking hell.
fucking Black Klan robe and like not quite that
He
far.
doesn't.
But he's like
He doesn't even like his own. He hates his own fighters. He's a fucking piece of shit. He's jealous of his
He's
own
a
fighters.
dickhead,
He's
isn't he?
a fucking asshole. He loves his people. Fuck off, man.
Well, to paraphrase Kanye West, Floyd Mayweather does not care about black people.
100%. He cares about the green and the green only, man. And that's it. Fucking hell. Loves the people. Give me a fucking break. He used to throw up an appreciation party for himself at the end of every training camp.
All he loves is money and Manjaros.
And he repoed Travanta's furniture.
He repoed Travanta's furniture. He'd sell anything you put in front of his nose for a fucking check. He would sell fucking. He remember the time he was selling boob jobs from a yacht in Miami. Remember that? Trying COVID times. You want the best body in Miami? Come to a yacht where you can get silk. What?
He was selling water pistols. Do you remember them water action pistols?
All the ads were just him ad-libbing the ads. So I was undefeated in my career. This is a great poker site. Fucking piece of shit. Loves the people. Fucking hell.
Oh gosh. Anything to add to that, Matty?
No.
Right, we'll go through them then. Yeah, Rob's Floyd nominations, absolute quality, man. Also, we had a bit of Rick Glazer. We had the Queensby people. We had Fundora, the big guy that he is. We had Smigger sliding in. We had Mr. LinkedIn, Yutta Pong, a big fan of him. Billy Nelson going in on the women. And we had this fella coming in prepared, in shape all day, every day. Lawrence Coley going in on Dillian White, Bacoli and George. And then we had Saul Farah, big fan of that ring card girl. She's doing her job well. We had Tony Bellew celebrating the end of piracy. And then just a quick run through these. Porky the guard. And of course, Andy and Tommy Sr. And at our videos, we started off with Porky. We had John Fisher as well making an appearance. Adi Oladipo. We had Eddie talking about Sky's footwork. And then we had the classic heavyweight battle between Brandon Moore and Skylar Lacey. A big return, episode 613, Matty, the Bellew of the week. Who are you going for this week?
Sometimes we do this for, the biggest jerk-offs and stuff like that. But I just for the incredible work with the Muppets, I got to give it to Damo. He's done very, very good work in the field of Muppet recreations of famous scenes in the boxing asylum world. So I'm going to go with Damo.
Yeah, no, there's plenty more I could have picked. But for keeping things short, Justin, I only picked a few of these AI images. Who are you going for this week?
I like the Coley and McCauley, but I'm probably going to go with Floyd.
Floyd for Justin. Roberto, who are you going for?
I love the two lads fucking going through the table like the fucking Undertaker and the Joey Gonzalez is the boss that fucking absolute. Man's out of a fucking 80s movie and he's your fucking Cody in the jail cell, isn't he? When you get fucking locked up for something you didn't do, he's your fucking cellmate. Like, isn't he? Like, look at him, like,
I didn't hear no bell. You landed on the fucking bell, you dick.
You just power slammed your match. You just rugby tackle guys through the ropes. Like, that's fucking hard to top. Like,
but when he grabbed you, man, he's like zero effort, and the guy's struggling and scrimping.
Yeah, your man's trying to like pop him back. He's just smiling at him. Like, he's like, I want to see this guy again and again, man. We need fucking characters like this. The Mavericks are gone. Fuck me. Give me a fella that'll fucking rugby tackle a lad through the ropes. Fuck's sake. Yeah, these guys. I love this guy. Man. I have to watch this fight.
I'm going for them too as well. What about you? Who you go? Oh, that Ames, you'll be pleased to hear. I'm sure you know this already. It was actually a Quote show, and it kicked off that badly. The Quote ran on stage because she was concerned about her poster getting destroyed in the background while they were grappling.
I didn't see that.
There'll be a few
you
fellas
guys-
in the chat that'll destroy your poster if they got it.
Jesus Christ!
Did you guys
Yeah,
see that?
that's all
clip
we
of,
need is the quote on Twitter asking people for tributes.
Did you guys see the clip of the quote at the gym?
No.
No.
Oh, you didn't see this? The quote was at the gym doing a live Instagram live with all her fans, and some fella who was on the treadmill to the right of her was like, "Can you put your earphones in? You're speaking really loud." And the quote was like, yeah. And the quote was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "They're not speaking. I'm speaking." And he was like adamant that she'd had to put her earphones on, but she was livid that she was spoken to.
Took it well, the wolf.
She took it. Yeah, she took it really well. The quote did.
Congratulations to Alicia Baumgartner, by the way, for her big deal with Jake Paul. The trailer revealing the news was amazing work. So we wish her well.
Yeah, always like a revelation from Alicia. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Katie was talking some shit, by the way, to Serrano.
Oh, yeah, she was, yeah.
Yeah, 2-0 this, Amanda. Yeah, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Bust your jaw.
There's a line of people queuing up for the payday off me, says Katie. That was good stuff, that.
Fucking, I like it, man. This is new. This is fucking, she's been listening to the pod, man, on the low. She's just going full force with it. Like, we love to see it.
Yeah, we'll find out how much has changed. See if she fucking.
Shut up, Serrano. Fucking love Serrano, don't you?
Is she worse than Josh Warrington, Matty, for the heads?
That's why I don't like Warrington, isn't it?
Possibly, but I don't hate her as much because she's better.
Sorry, I threw that in for badness. Sorry, Matty.
Sorry, Katie.
Sorry, Ames. I feel like we cut you off full flow there. Who are you going for?
I also saw Butterbean calling out Brock Lesnar for a fight.
What?
Yeah, Butterbean.
For who has the most similar head title?
Butterbean has been doing DDP yoga to just stand up. He's been calling out Brock Lesnar for one last fight and believes he can knock him out.
Don't knock DDP.
Yeah, didn't he just
yoga.
fucking?
That's why Jake the Snake's still with us. Damn it.
He's doing a Pazienza type recovery, Butterbean. He was in a fucking wheelchair about 6 weeks ago. Like, fuck's sake. He's like your man off fucking the Richard D. Hall documentary. We need welter back for nights like this. You know what I mean? Amazing.
Oh, dear me. Yeah, Ames, you didn't see the this is a bit niche, but you didn't see the Alan Cannulli fight recently, did you, with Raymond Mancini on commentary?
I didn't see it now.
Yeah, Ray was on good form, man. He was going on about Butterbean and all. He was comparing the Hulk who was fighting Jalalov to But he goes, do you remember a guy, Butterbean? He said that, didn't he? Do you remember a guy, Butterbean, Corey? And Corey was like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't get this. For me, look, my nomination would go to, and this last one that he's put in the group chat just seals the deal completely because it's absolutely hilarious. It's got to be Damo for this Muppet. If you get this last one up, Steve, it's so funny.
Have you sent it to me?
No, let me send it to you now if I can quickly. It's class.
Oh, yeah,
Damo throughout the whole week, Damo's been putting these into the Boxing Asylum group chat, which is another reason why you want to get into the Patreon for the Boxing Asylum chat, because it's
some Muppets in there already.
Yeah, the vast bulk of us are just like really brave individuals. It's it's a good adventure.
Yeah, it definitely is. No, Eamon sent that one over to me, and if it'll load anytime soon, I will happily upload that. But yeah, Ray Mancini, Matty, I don't know if you saw, he was on absolutely great form the other day on the Alan Cannulli podcast. I mean, Yeah, he's not in the most cognitive of form, I would say, but he was throwing off some little bombs.
Yeah,
that's when the guy from Hong Kong was fighting at Raymond. He's like, I didn't know Hong Kong had professional boxing. I didn't even know they existed. Who is this guy?
Mancini won the battle, but Kim won the war.
Is Ray Mancini
That's a fucked up joke? Thank you.
Is Mancini the fighter that's the most undeserved of his biopic? We haven't even got the fucking Sugar Ray Robinson biopic. We have a fucking biopic of Ray Boom Boom Mancini, for fuck's sake.
Oh, yeah, come.
There it is, Ames. Are you buying my ticket, Steve? I'm not buying yours. Come on. Where's the graphic, Ames? Where's the graphic?
Also, I've thrown into the mix as well Eddie Hearn, who I think a couple of weeks back, maybe even 10, 15 days ago, was saying that it was maybe a little bit further, but he was saying Anthony Joshua wasn't going to fight anytime soon because he's got an injury. And we all asked him about the injury. He goes, well, it's an injury, which means that he can't throw a punch right now. So make of that what you will. And then lo and behold, we've seen on Anthony Joshua's Instagram him in a pre-camp, as it seems, throwing jabs, punches, hitting the pad, hitting the jabs and hitting it all. So it doesn't seem like he's got any injury at all. So throwing Eddie into the mix as well too.
Them two are fighting. Fury and Joshua are fighting.
October-ish.
Fucking stop.
October-ish, yeah, watch it happen.
Give me a break.
Are you saying Eddie's not telling the truth here, Roberto?
I'm saying Eddie was floating this about 2 days ago on some YouTube clip. Don't underestimate Tyson Fury. He's a fighter. First and foremost, he loves a pound note. Is that a better Eddie impression over the years? I can't really do Southern English accents for some reason. I'm good at like the lad down in the shop. I can do him perfectly. Like, but he's not famous. I can't get anywhere with it. You know that way. Katie,
what about an impression of him?
What? The fella down the shop? No, I'm not going to do the kissing. It's too good. It's amazing. You think it was him? I'm thinking about phoning him up someday, just doing the impression of him down the phone. I'll do it off air, please.
Right, who are you going for the names?
You guys know Eddie. He just has his head in the sky.
I'm going for. Oh wait, he didn't.
Let's hope so.
You didn't put in Ricky Hatton with what's his face? Joey Barton.
Oh, Ricky fucking
yeah.
How many seconds in? He was like 90 seconds in before he met them nights in Las Vegas when I fought against Floyd and Matty. I bring all the fans from Manchester over. It was just, unbelievable. We know, man. We fucking seen it. For fuck's sake.
There's a load of them I didn't get to, Ames, man. I got Lee Wiley showing AJ the laptop and all. I just couldn't get to them in the end, but you're quite right. Should have had that one in.
Okay, fair.
What annoyed me about Ricky Hatton is that if he hadn't fucking got so fat in between fights, he could have had a prolonged career, like. And he was a bit of a fucking muppet. But anyway,
Damo gets
great fighter. We wish him well.
Yeah, they are Damo.
Deserves recognition.
Yep.
Right, Ames, come on. It's final one to you. I'm going the same as Rob. By the way, I'm going for Skylar and Brandon.
No, I'm saying Damo with all the Muppets is getting all the...
Oh, you're going for... Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay, well, it's going to be a draw then. So we've got 2 for Damo. So we're going to give him a Belly of the Week there.
I don't know what's going on here, but it's not nice.
Champ.
That is fucking... That's the best one now. That is fucking sensational, that. Like, absolutely amazing.
We've got to get our mate Muppet.
Love this guy, man. He's the new fucking cult hero on the pod, this guy. Fucking following his career from now on. Where's this going to go? Like, what's next for this guy? Hey, come on, Ed. Evening, Ed. We need you on the board here. Like, come on. What's this fella's name again, Steve?
Skylar Lacey.
You do good with people with Sky in the name. Like, come on, Eddie.
God, hopefully he's not banging both of them.
Well, let's hope he is.
Well, Sky.
His own rebel.
Oh my lord! Knew I shouldn't have come back.
How much baby oil has Eddie ordered off of Amazon?
So, Rob, this is Skylar Big Dog Lacey. He's from Indiana. He's 8-1-2. So that was his first loss. He has a couple of draws on the record as well. So there you go. That's
oh man, if that old woman from the, I doubt it. I don't know if she's still alive. Like that woman that was the mama for Telly. Like if he can get her for a ring walk, man, come on, like printing money, isn't he? Like,
right, boys.
Now
Congratulations.
Now I want to find a chick from Indiana to bang whose name is Indiana, and while I'm fucking her, I can text somebody and say Indiana squared, and nobody will get the joke but me. But as long as I think it's funny.
Oh, we hung on till 11:30 for that. Fucking brilliant. Come on.
Right. Congratulations, Damo and Skylar Lacey. You are the joint Belly of the Week winners for episode 613. Back to you, Matty.
Yeah, it's been a great time, but it's been a long show, folks. I appreciate everyone for coming on here. We had Justin Dez, Rob Kelly, Eamon Khan from Seconds Out, and also Steve Wellings from Boxing News. It's been a good time. I've been your host, Matt DiGianardo, and I hope you folks have yourselves a fantastic week ahead. And we will see you next Sunday, as always. And thanks again for David Palmer for shooting in that super chat. We appreciate it very much. Folks, have a great week ahead. See you Sunday.
We'll never forget.
Yeah, I think that's good happening.
Go to and move! We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7 year ain't. I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, as simple as that.